we're kind of starting to push the envelope a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then there's like old Harley Racing and old V-twin racing that's been going on. And I just think it would be cool to get interviews with those guys, because I feel like there's a lot of really good Harley racing history that's going to get lost if somebody doesn't take the initiative to do something.
I mean, first off, it's having, like, I'm not educated enough to know who these people are.
I can put a list together.
Yeah, but so on top of a list, I still need to educate myself on who they are.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than being interviewed by someone who doesn't know who you are. It's kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, so it's like, I think at one point you might have to scoot in a little bit more. Is he in the camera okay?
Yeah.
Huh?
They're both in.
Okay, does it look like they're focused?
Yeah.
Do we have audio this time?
Yeah, no kidding.
No, I was checking.
All right, but yeah, so that's kind of the hard part is, and I've never really, I'm not going to say I don't like racing. I just don't know enough. I've never followed flat track. I've never followed the old racing stuff from back in the day. So it's just like, I'm just not the guy, I felt like Danger Dan did a much better job of capturing those kind of episodes for people to connect with. But if you or anybody else is that's a perfect thing to do. It's a void in our scene, right?
Yeah.
Or in our the history of what we could be talking about on these podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that I've just met so many people in the last 2 years that I'm like, holy crap, man, like that story you just told me, like people need to know about that, And Kyle Wyman did just go on a podcast, and he was telling like crazy stories from back when he was managing like the BMW race team. Yeah. And he's like, I'm $72,000 in credit card debt, trying to figure out how we're going to pay for tires. And those stories, they're everywhere in the old Harley racing stuff. Like there's other teams that have gone through all that and tried to piece all these things together. And then, like big one for me was just Indian Larry.
Yeah.
And just like that dude was on these like tiny little choppers with big motors. He tried to keep them light, and he would just like skinny tires, and he's lane splitting, back like 30 years ago, just shredding on these things. It wasn't some big nasty chopper like Orange County kind of stuff.
And I mean, even to take it further, like I've been kind of putting lines out to do a podcast with Billy Lane for a while now, but I don't really want to do a podcast with Billy Lane about the Sons of Speed.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this part of the industry that was on TV I want to know what it was like behind the scenes. I want to know what it was like coming up. And sometimes, I consume a lot of podcasts, and it seems like sometimes when people interview people that like, I'm like, I want to know what this, they talk about something that's more current and rather than like the
like reminiscing on like the glory days. They want to be like, well, let me tell you what I'm doing now.
Like, how'd you get there?
Yeah. So, it's like, I don't want to disrespect him by saying I'm not really trying to go into that, because obviously he's trying to promote that.
Yeah. And it's cool. I mean, it's something different that, it was like right after the Tennessee Motorcycle Revival deal last year that I went and got to see some of the Sons of Speed stuff. And, it's old like 1930s Harleys, and dude, they're like,
no brakes,
like ripping around on a clay track. Like
it's badass,
but I totally see what you're saying with. I mean, you think about like Billy Lane is another one that's like in that core group of old chopper guys that I felt like really pushed the envelope and changed the industry. And so
he was the wild child out of that show.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he did 2 episodes, and it was just fucking bonkers. His shit never worked, but but he got there.
One bike caught on fire.
Yeah, you're hammering out a fucking tank with a hammer and no design. He just went as he went. That looks good. We'll roll with that.
Yeah,
but it'd be tough to kind of get him to open up. We have to be really comfortable to open up about some of the bad things.
And a lot of the history.
But
because of what he went through.
Like I said, as a journalist, if you will, like I want to capture an amazing story for people to listen to.
Yeah.
And it's not in me to try to like heartlessly just peel something out of somebody without them trusting me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But
Absolutely.
There's
you're
that.
You're never going to get the same level of like just originality and it being really genuine.
Yeah.
But like there has to be that level of trust.
Yeah. It takes the walls down. They open up more. You get more truth out.
Well, so I mean, I kind of after leaving Lichter's house on this Sturgis trip, he turned me on to a bunch of books. I had known about the Danny Lyons book, The Bike Riders, which is going to be a movie in December this year.
That's cool.
A lot of A-list actors playing in it, so it's a real movie.
What's his name? Bane, right? What's his name?
Tom Hardy's in it. Austin Butler that played Elvis. It's a lot of.
Okay.
I got to meet a
cool.
couple other people that were kind of behind the scenes this year at Sturgis, so it's going to be a badass movie. So the book, Danny Lyons is a photographer that rode and followed around the outlaws around the Chicago area, and they were doing races and doing this. So reading the book is kind of like testimonials from some of the original people that was in it.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about drag racing, and there used to be like these little tracks in the city of like Chicago and places where people would like pretty much do flat tracking is basically what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all this kind of history in that stuff, and I've been kind of reading up on that, finding a little bit, just something interesting, if you will. But yeah, to your point of like the racing, I mean, everything was kind of based around racing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I captured it real well in the podcast with Lichter, but we talked about 79, what was Sturgis like? And, I'll leave that for the people to hear that podcast, but it was simple.
Yeah.
It was nothing like what we know of it for the last 30 years.
Yeah, it was, what's the name of the gypsies out there? I forgot the first name. That's who started it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it basically was a party. Right.
It was a race,
Yeah.
and then
it was all started around the racing.
I think most of the big things were starting around like some type of racing, and so was the Laconia, right?
Yeah.
And then also Daytona. So, like I said, racing always seemed to be the thing that brought people together, but then it kind of evolved into like this party, and whatnot, which is
Makes sense.
It's going to happen.
It's organic. It's just,
I mean, what other entertainment was there back then? It wasn't like there was no TikTok, so you weren't fucking doing that stuff. So you're like, oh man, there's a bunch of cool motorcycle racing. The community must have been so much more small. So you would travel the country to kind of connect with other like-minded people. So it made sense for those things to start like that. So
it's like, be honest, TMMR, I went 2021. It was 21, and that feel right there, just that 3 days I was there, it was like, oh, this is how Sturgis started.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You can feel it.
Awesome.
You're like, this
so
this
small.
is gonna blow up because
Yeah.
it was just so organic. It wasn't corporatized yet,
Yeah.
And it was actually, I had two guys from Harley there who were pretty big in Harley, and they were there to look and figure out what was going on, and they supported it, and they said, well, our job's not to fuck this up.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking fantastic that you know that, right? And I said, we just don't want to fuck this one up.
So one thing I will say about what Lichter had said to me was he said the early days of Sturgis was about you coming out here and making your own fun in Sturgis. And then somewhere it turned into Disney World where it's like, hey, go on this ride, go on this show. It became this thing where it's like instead of you coming here and making it your own experience, it became like hey, we have all this entertainment for you now. And so and it, because that's kind of how our camp out started. And that's kind of how it's been, but it has in the last 2 years kind of turned into, well, we have something for you to watch this day and this day and this day. And it kind of takes away the fun of like, man, this is just supposed to be a reason for you to ride your bike. Mm-hmm. When it becomes like a reason for you to come win a bike show or all these other things, it kind of, I don't know, it takes the fun out of it.
It does, and I'll be fucking first witness to that from this week.
Yeah.
I took both bikes out a couple years ago because my first year out there was handcuffed for 6 hours to a bike.
Yeah, because the first year was when you had the G.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the second year I brought out both bikes. So I had the dyno with me. So I drop one off and go fucking ride all day.
Oh, yeah.
This year I was back to one bike. I had a good time, but I wanted to fucking ride more. What a break. It was just one of those. Like,
but Sturgis for guys like us are not, it's the fun is in the middle of all the networking and meeting people finally in person stuff.
But
you know
like
what I'm saying?
even if like Sunday, you guys rolled in at 3:00, you were at the FXR Dyna show. I wasn't. Right? It's one of those. Even if I could have just rode there, so I'm gonna plan accordingly next year. But it's what I don't need to do all those rides. I've done them before. But hitting the road at 7:30, 8:00 in the morning, getting the open road while it's open was something I lacked this year.
So while we're talking about it, man, what a wet one.
Oh, dude.
Gosh.
That was so I got there Saturday night. So I missed the big Saturday day, Friday night, Saturday day.
Friday and Saturday was pretty much solid rain all day long.
So I missed that. So I had a decent Sunday, but Monday ruined me. And there was two shows. I was fucking soaked from 8:30 in the morning until 8:00 at night.
Yeah, so we ended up linking up at Holt's show Monday, in the Sturgis or Harley Square or whatever down there.
Yep.
And then
In
right when it was over, it poured. Yeah.
Oh,
No, yeah,
okay,
downtown
Yeah,
Sturgis.
Harley Davidson way. So I leave Sunday night. I got back to the dealership. I had a leak out of the front motor mount bolt. I had 640 miles on the bike. So fucking whatever. Throw it on a lift, replace a head end cylinder. Comes
Damn.
off the lift about 12:30 on Monday. So I was like, all right, I got to jam.
Yeah, because you rolled in kind of late.
I did.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just jammed. And again, radars were broken. So I looked and went, I'm fucking clear. So I got to exit 53. It started raining, and it stopped at exit 33. I was fucking drenched. So I pulled up, took my boots off, stuck them next to my bike. I had sneakers. Went up to Maggie. I was like, I got to go to the store, Dixon store, and grab some clothes.
Yeah.
Well, I go to Dixon store to get clothes and come back, and it's raining again. And my boots are still next to my bike.
Just get
So
stoked.
everything I had was fucking drenched. My left saddlebag was a hamper for fucking 3 days.
But it smelled great in there.
Probably still does, yeah. It was fucking. But yes, wet. Enjoyable? Yes. But that was fucking torture.
Yeah.
Unreal.
The only thing I got to ride was Spearfish once, and it was sprinkling on and off the whole time. And yeah, I mean, it was just I've been to Sturgis. This would have been my 10th year in a row, but I missed 18. So this is my 9th year, and it's always rained at Sturgis, but it's always this pass through storm. It never just sits and rains for hours on end. And the Saturday I got stuck at the Buffalo Chip because I was at the Motorcycles is Art show. Because on Saturday they do kind of like the pre-party for all the industry to go to it before they open it to the public for other people to come check out the art and the bikes. And fortunately, some friends were at the house that morning, so they were to drop me off there. And I was just assuming that all the homies were going to be coming down to Sturgis, and they would, Trey had the car or his truck with him. So I was like, yeah, cool, Trey, just come scoop me up at some point. I'll just hang out with y'all in Sturgis. And then he's like, dude, it rained all day. We're just staying at the house. So I'm like scrambling trying to find an Uber out there, which is hard.
Yeah.
It was like towards Deadwood, too, the house, right now.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a far space, but just there's not a lot of Ubers up there.
No.
And fortunately, some kid was driving from Spearfish to Rapid City, and he picked me up, or he picked up my request, and it's only like $26, but I was like, dude, here's an extra $30 tip because you just saved my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I was at a point where I was about to start offering people there a couple $100 just to take me home. You know what I mean? Not that I had it. I'm just I didn't want to walk.
Yeah, I used the dealership as my hub.
Yeah.
So I left the bike there every night. I had a truck, went back to the house, went back to the dealership, left from there.
I hate that I didn't get a chance to go back to Black Hills. I pulled in. As soon as I got into Sturgis, I went to Black Hills to get with Thundermax and those guys because we did a podcast that night. And then from that point on, I just never could make it over there because of the rain. So
Yeah, I fucked around. I guess it was Monday, waiting on my bike. I had a lot of time to spend. I hit everybody up. I was riding around on that Grom, which, have you ever rode that Grom? Don't.
It's crazy.
Don't. At all. Millhouse, like, I've been doing a lot of wheelies on this thing. I was like, yeah, you have, man. Front end's all fucked up. I thought I was going to crash it a couple times. But it's like a little Grom. That would have been a great story.
Just a clapped out Grom.
Yeah, it needs a front end adjustment like a motherfucker. So, but I had a great time, dude. It was there was some banging bikes too.
Yeah.
There was some fucking nice bikes this year.
FXR show was I mean, that's really the only one I can speak on. It was stacked. There was a ton of cool bikes, a lot of builds that came out. I mean, right now in the FXR world, it's still kind of really focused on OG kind of stuff, which, I'm a custom paint guy, but at the same time, I can appreciate a nice, build and the way that people are customizing them. But, yeah, there was a lot of nice bikes, man,
So Tony, I was at Monty's booth, and Tony had just, maybe it wasn't that day, but he had shown me some FXR to Japan that wasn't the guys at Texas Hills.
Yeah.
It's like a white and gold one.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a 5-piece rim and the valve stem. It was the engineering on this thing. Like,
Yeah.
he literally said, "What do you see?" And it was me and Chamberlain. And we're both staring at it. We're like, all right, dude, what is it? And then he explained it. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, the valve stem was in the down tube of the fucking rim.
Oh, yeah. I heard
and the
that.
rotor was on the other side.
Yeah.
It was
I heard
all
about
ass
it. Like,
backwards. But
his, even the axle was holding air or some shit like
yes,
that.
it was.
What?
Dude,
Made no sense.
It was out of control. Like, to the point my mind wouldn't even take it. I was like, all right. know how to go think about it. It was fucking badass.
Yeah. Trying to think about it.
I'm like,
I'll find it.
yeah,
He's
definitely send that to me.
it was, and I thought it was the guys from Texas Hills because those FXRs are badass too.
Yeah. Japanese, man. They're just on another level.
Insane. The
Yeah.
craftsmanship and the time just to put the wheel together. You know?
I'm kind of disappointed that they do us better than we do us. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
They really do. Every Americanized culture that they kind of adopt, they just do it better. It's
it's probably because they make it.
There's a big racing scene over there also, the Harley Racing. There's dudes out there like Joy Speed. It's like Joy Speed Shop. These dudes are out on these like nasty built pan heads and shovel heads, just shredding up circuit tracks.
Damn.
Like, it's crazy. Like,
And they got so many tracks up there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's small tracks, big tracks. I mean, the racing culture in Japan is just massive. You know what I mean? Plus, they got the mountains, good old
that helps too.
drifting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Tokyo Drift.
hell yeah. Initial D is the old school shit.
Yeah.
I watched that shit last night, actually. It's all on Netflix, so I put one on, woke up, two was on. I watched it. So.
Can't say no.
Yeah, look, I'm going to watch them all.
So I've been trying to get my son to watch Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And so he watched Tokyo Drift with me, and he was like, okay, that was good. I was like, will you please watch number 1 with me so I can tell you, so you can see where I
You
come
have to
from.
watch number 1.
You know?
I mean,
It's like I don't want him to see like the later Fast and the Furious because we're not even on the same planet.
Yeah.
You
anymore.
got to know where it started, why it started. So it was
When Tyrese goes to space, dude, it's not.
that's a wrap. That's a wrap. Yeah. Yep, that was funny shit.
But family.
Family.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a new one out too, isn't there?
Yeah, like I guess 10's out. It's got
Is that what it
Jason
is?
Momoa in it.
Oh, that's right. He's on
yeah,
that
yeah,
tricked
yeah.
out Pan Am. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, and apparently, so I've been following these guys that are, because even though they have that rider strike going on, he's been in New Zealand still filming stuff and doing shit.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so they've had this whole other team for doing all this Harley content with him over there as well. And they're just still making content, doing all the stuff that they do. And he's filming a movie, but then they're also doing all this collection stuff with Harley. And then he's got these brand ambassadorships with like camera companies. It's just massive.
Try to
Yeah.
control it.
And there's a lot of badass photographers that I follow that are kind of a part of their crew out there. And so, yeah, that's kind of what's going on with that. So
Pink pants.
I know
it's salmon, dude.
Salmon.
Salmon's in, man.
Well, now we have what?
Posty,
Chrome Malone.
Chrome Malone.
That's the line they just released. And I Googled as much as I could to find him on a Harley, and I didn't. Found him on a Vespa. And apparently they just built him some chrome fucking Softail. That's actually kind of good looking, but
I think that from what I heard, that all this stuff that they're doing is kind of like, with the new CEO, he's from more of the fashion world, obviously with Puma and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that they're trying to create this like more prestigious line of Harley clothing. Obviously, that's what they're doing. That's kind of collections. And I mean, I've looked at some of the collections. That shit ain't cheap, man.
no, not
Yeah,
at
they
all.
did that neighborhood one. That was one of the first like collaborations
Yeah.
this year that they dropped. If you just look at the neighborhood brand, it's like T-shirts for like $285 and like stuff like that. It's like
Well, the salmon pants were like $129, I believe.
That's average for a good
I don't
pair
know.
of jeans. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
I mean, I usually go to Levi's and get the 2 buy one get it one half off shit. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
hey,
Yeah.
those are my when I wear the red pants. That's my cookies and cream outfit. No, red velvet
Red velvet.
outfit. Yeah, red pants, cream shirt, black shoes. My red velvet.
I like how
outfit.
they're tapered at the bottom. Actually
Yeah,
caught
because
my attention while I was out there. I was like, fuck, I need those.
Dude, so you're a sneakerhead. I used to be a long time ago. Definitely don't dabble in it like I was when I was a kid. But when you grow up, it's like, Jordans and Air Maxes and they're big shoes. So whatever kind of jeans you wear, they
to
pretty
go in.
much sit on top of those shoes. But then when I started wearing Vans, those, boot cut jeans or anything other than tapered, if not, it just folds under your shoes when you're
you
walking.
start walking on your jeans.
Yeah, and I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
So it's just annoying.
That's a good. I'll be looking at them
So
because that was driving me crazy out there. That exact thing with wearing my sneakers and my.
and then you don't want
pants
to cuff your stuff. Are you a chopper nerd?
that shit.
Putting cuffs on the outside.
No,
And we're too old to be sitting there safety pinning the inside of our jeans to kind of
that ain't
taper
gonna
'em.
happen. Well, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember the Z Cavarici folds. I mean, that was like nobody's not old enough. Okay. That's a New York thing. Mark
Yeah, I
might
was about to
remember.
say, they're not East Coast yet.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
What was that fold?
Z folds.
So, dude, what was it? Mid '80s, late '80s. Even dudes were wearing these baggy socks, is what they were called, with these Z Cavaricis, and you just fold it over and then cuff it twice, and it made them tapered. But that was the look. This big ass oversized sock with Reeboks with that Velcro strap, and all the guineas had a fucking turtleneck with a gold chain. That was New York, 1988, 100%.
Cocaine everywhere.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Right before it turned to crack.
Yeah. Somebody figured out that recipe.
Yeah. So no, it's crazy. It's I don't know, man. Fashion on Harleys, isn't it a weird thing?
It's just crazy to think you could. I mean, I guess there's people out there. I don't know. I don't pay $300 for a fucking pair of jeans.
I don't think so either. But I mean, think about it. Like, with the Dixon Flannel store opening in Sturgis, what they do like the first 40 minutes, like what was it, first 20 minutes, $40,000 or something like that?
Dude, I would figure they were averaging $15,000 an hour if I had to guess. I went in a couple times. Luckily, not waited online, but it was fucking nuts. His system that he had set up there, it was kind of genius. It was set up like a merch booth at a concert. So you walked in, you got a menu like I want number 4, number 7, number 8, number 9, all in XL.
Yeah, so you're not like sitting there walking around just
It was
flipping.
online to the counter, look at shit as you walk by, and you're out the door. It was actually good setup. He needs more room though, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, like fashion and I mean,
it's always gone hand in hand.
Yeah,
Always.
I mean, you want to look good on your bike. I mean, you don't want to match your bike, right?
No, but you want to have functional fashion, right? That's
yeah.
what makes the most sense. I mean, some people riding around, I'm like, man, you go down, that's fucking, you're toast, brother.
Well, that's, dude, trust me, I wear slip-on Vans every day, and everybody and their mom is like, you're going to lose your foot, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, at least I can move my foot. You fucking, you got robot boots on and shit.
I've never been a big Harley boot guy.
Dude,
Too
they're
big.
combat boots,
Yeah,
man. I mean,
big,
seriously.
too bulky.
Yeah.
I wear a hiking boot when I ride. It's just more mobile.
I just think that, okay, this is what I'm alluding to is how much projections people that ride Harleys feel like they need to get you to do what they're doing, and I feel like it's always justifying so that they feel like what they're doing is the right thing.
You're right.
It's like if you choose to wear leathers while you ride, bro, I get it. You're planning to wreck. You know what I mean? When I dress up to ride bikes, I don't plan to wreck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for 20 years next year, I've never wrecked a motorcycle. So
I've wrecked 3 times in the last 6 weeks.
Were you racing?
Yeah.
All right. That's
Oh, yeah. It was on the track.
Yeah. Oh,
so it's just one of those things where, like, another thing, like when we did the trip with the homies and we went around the lakes, like I'm on this ST now. I don't have a lot of space, so rain suits are out of the question. That's a whole fucking saddlebag on a ST. So if I got rained on and I didn't think I was going to be somewhere where I can dry out the Vans, I bought another pair of Vans and threw those away. They were $60. Like, it's just easier than some of the other stuff. I mean, it's not cost effective, but it's.
I mean, there's really nothing cost effective with Harleys. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just.
I went to the Dixon store 3 times for dry clothes. Just because it was closer than riding back to the house. So I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, I'll just go get new clothes.
Well, man, it was a point where you saw everybody had the camo hoodie with the Sturgis Dixon on there. Look, I ain't mad at the dude. A lot of people know that I got my quarrels with the brand, but I'm not mad at the dude for his genius of hustling, right? Straight up. At some point, I guess maybe the skateboarder in me doesn't like to have the thing that everybody else has.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel, you know what I mean? Like, when Dixon first came out, I felt like it was cool to go to bike night, and everyone's like, man, what flannel is that, a Pendleton? You're like, nah, man, it's just this thing. It's a bike thing. You wouldn't know anything about it. And now,
Yeah, it's mainstream.
Yeah, it's
For sure.
mainstream
It's
now.
fucking mainstream.
So
I mean, this by far.
it's Metallica after Justice for All, 100%.
It's load. Yeah, it's load and reload. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Load and reload.
Still good.
Yeah.
It's still good, but it isn't like that
I'll
old
tell you what,
stuff.
the one thing I was excited for is I went and bought one of them fucking leather shirts. Because in the winter,
You got a leather shirt?
So they re-released the leather shirts. He only did them
I remember he did a couple runs of those.
He only did them like 2 years. I want to say like 14, 15, or 15, 16. And they went away. Harley produced one, which was good for October, November riding here, right? Well, Harley took theirs away. Danny released his.
Nice.
It's fucking nice. I mean, I was excited to get it. So can't wait for November.
I remember
Yeah, no
The 2
kidding.
weeks I'll get to use it this year. I'm super stoked. So,
Dude, that was probably the biggest thing about traveling all summer is being in cooler places, literally the entire summer. And every time I come home, just a blast of reality.
Oh, dude.
And this heat down here is just insane. I mean, we had to have the AC fixed this morning. Fortunately, Brad came out and put a new capacitor on it. It's still cooling down. It's
I could feel it more now. Yeah.
Let's say 99.
It's 89 degrees in here.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's cool air coming in, but it's still.
Well, that just shows you how fucking hot it is outside for us to be sitting here and not really noticing.
Yeah.
Because it's what 106. I think we're at like 110 days over on 105 heat index.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
When I was growing up, I was telling people I've never getting up to 103, 105 has been something I've grown up with, but over 105 has been very rare in Texas, at least in the Dallas area. And it seems like every day it's 109, 110. I'm like, those are desert. That's like Phoenix.
Yeah, well, even I'm out there in Midland.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll see 110, you know, but it's like
Temperature?
for like like actual temperature.
And then so it's really 118.
Well, it's like 2% humidity. So
Yeah,
there's
so
like
they don't
nothing
have
there. So
here.
we'll just have like temperature, but I mean it's still hot. But it's for like we'll get it for like a week or a week and a half, and then it kind of chills out.
Yeah, but you're in the high plains desert too, so at night does it cool off pretty drastically
It's
out
not
there?
the same as the other deserts that I've been. Like when I'm like you're out in Phoenix, the sun goes down, and like you can see the temperature drop like 30 degrees. And for whatever reason, and you can probably answer this better than I can, but there's something about that area. Like the sun goes down and it goes from like 107 to 99, and it'll just kind of stay at 99. And you're like, oh, finally cooled down. Thank
Get
goodness.
the chills, like,
Hot blow dryer in your mouth out there. It's fucking gross, man.
It's
Disgusting. Like even my buddies in Austin, he's like, man, come by. We're going in the pool. I was like, bring a bag of ice. For what? He's like, the fucking pool. I was like, are you fucking serious? He's like, dude, we're throwing 5-6 bags of ice in that bitch a day. I was like, what is it changing? It's like 2 degrees. I'm like,
staying home, dude.
giant blocks of ice. Yeah. I was like, I'm good, man. I got a pool like 10 feet from my house. I'll go to that one.
You know what sucks is like all the places that I've been that I'm like, fuck, I could do this here. It's in June.
yeah.
And it's like perfect. Like I'm in Duluth. I'm like, I could do this
Yeah.
in June. So it's like you fast forward November and it's like the whole lake is covered in ice. You know?
I mean, what was scary is we were at 105, 107, 108 in July.
Yeah.
And what are we, a week in? 2 weeks in?
It really doesn't start cooling off here till September.
Right.
Like the mid-September is when it starts to taper back into more palatable weather, you know?
I hope it drops September 6th this year.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. So,
How does the heat, like if you're on a track in this kind of heat, how does that affect like the tires and shit like that?
It's literally a science.
For real?
It makes a huge difference. Like if you're, like you'll have to run a different tire based on your track temperature. I mean, if you have a 30 degree, like I was just up at Washington racing at the Ridge, we had a lot of tire issues. But Dunlop just released some new compounds, and it was like 65 degrees. It was beautiful. It was great. But 65 and sunny, and you're having to, so it's a big difference.
But up there, you're probably heating up the tires with the tire
Well,
warmers,
and
right?
you're still doing that because, like, even like when we race at Coda here in another 3 weeks, month, or whatever it is, we're still going to have the tires on tire warmers.
Okay.
But it's just you're starting with a different compound that maybe holds up better to the heat temperatures. And when the tire's going to heat up a lot more going from a super cold track to a warmer or to when you start running some laps on it, and then the tire holds that heat. And when we put them on the warmers, it's like 180, 190 degrees that we actually warm the tire up to before it goes on the track. You have to check your tire pressures while they're like warm. They're still going to be, there might be a little expansion, but it's not going to be a lot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're heating that air in there.
Are you using nitrogen?
The guys with money, a lot of them are. I'm
Make
not.
that much of a difference?
I don't know how much of a difference it would make to actually run the nitrogen versus just
Well, I
pumping.
know nitrogen,
Is there not the same expansion?
it doesn't expand the same way, but it's also really good for leaking. Like airplanes use it because when they land, they're going from 0 to like 300
Yeah.
instantly. And it helps prevent it from leaking and
Popping.
and the expansion of pressure from going from cold to hot that quick.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be more efficient. You can get nitrogen generators, but like you said, money.
Yeah. Which
So
I
what's-
spend a lot of it. I don't have a lot of it.
What's the ideal temperature for the tire? 180, you said?
Yeah, so when you're on the warmer, it's like 179 to like.
So if you're on a hotter
190.
track, does that tire temperature need to be lower to compensate for the difference, or just
No, I mean you just
go?
most of the
Always
I mean,
warm.
Yeah, those tire warmers, like some have a high-low setting, but like in general, you just have a switch. You just
Gotcha.
plug it in, let it do its thing, and you just kind of roll it out at that temperature. But depending on the actual track temperature and your level of riding, because like there's some tires that, like you've got your like super sport guys that are on crotch rockets that are running like 20, 30, 40 seconds faster per lap. I mean, they're hauling ass. They keep so much heat in those tires that like me on an air-cooled Harley, like it's just impossible for me to go as fast as them. Yeah. And so like I am going to run a different tire, and there's the weight. I mean, my bike is almost double the weight of their bikes. Actually, some of them, probably it's not quite, but it's close. Yeah. But all that stuff comes into play.
It's crazy to think that too, because I've watched the whole series this year, and some of the lap times that these guys are doing on the baggers is not too
they're
far
right there,
off.
like 3-4 seconds off.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Wow.
Which
Yeah, but 3 or 4 seconds are like 1 inch for us, right? It's a big difference.
But it
3 or 4
counts.
seconds is a big difference on a track. But yeah, when you think about a 600-pound, you're right though. But yeah,
but at the same time, we probably touched on this last time. It's just more exciting to see, and that's what racing is supposed to be. It's like, why do you think NASCAR? I mean, those aren't when they started, that wasn't the ideal race car.
No.
Right? But all of a sudden you're like, man, I got a fucking Monte Carlo. I mean, obviously it's never really a Monte Carlo. But, it just becomes fun to see that. That's why grudge racing is so fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You get to see just, these different levels of racing. And I think that when everything gets so pristine like it is with sport bike racing, like super bike racing, things like that, you really got to be a big fan to really stay into that stuff, because the margin for error, or it becomes, you got to be a knowledgeable fan. I think bagger racing, you can be a casual fan and enjoy it.
you can just
know
love
what I'm saying?
motorcycles. You can just be like I'm a motorcycle guy, and you can go watch baggers, and you're like, whoa,
I'll be honest,
right.
man. I wasn't a big motorcycle race watcher until baggers hit the track.
Yeah.
Now I'm watching every fucking race. Every race, not just the baggers. I'm watching every race, and I'm learning, and I'm watching. I'm getting interested. I mean,
It's also, I think it's a young enough.
Yeah, it's bringing everybody.
Yeah.
It's a young enough thing, and I think that at least a lot of us, we know a lot of people that's involved.
Yeah.
Even if it's just the brands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knowing some of the brands that are involved with stuff. So it just makes it easier for us to kind of tag along. But,
And
I mean, you fast forward this thing another 10 years, if it stays going, then it could become, I mean, like I said, I got to hang out at Saddleman this year and see some of their race bikes. And, I mean, those things are like, as somebody likes cool shit, that's pretty nice to watch. All the ways that they've kind of found a way to shave weight, get your rider position in the right spot. All that stuff is nice.
They built that tail section that just bolts up on top. I mean, they've done
nice.
I mean, and honestly, it's cool. Just, and I've said this the last time I was on here, I'm just a dude that loves Harleys. I just love to ride. I love to slam miles. I love to go fast. And it just kind of happened that I ended up on a track.
Yeah.
But just to see companies that I've been a fan of for the last 20 years, or not 20 years, probably 10 years, that I've really been a fan. But Saddleman is like an example that their involvement, they are balls deep in this racing stuff. I mean,
they're. I don't know if it's supposed to be said, but I know. So I didn't sign any NDAs. They're the ones taking care of a lot of the Harley stuff now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Harley's whole race team is in that Saddleman situation now.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Just and I've reached out to other companies, because like I'm a privateer. I'm just doing this out of my own pocket, and I'm like third in points and super hooligan in the air cool class right now, and I'm doing all right for where I'm at funding wise. But I've reached out to companies that are like competition to companies that are involved. I'm like, okay, well, these guys aren't going to help me because they're already here. So I reach out to like their competition, and these guys are like, nah, man, like we don't care about racing. Like Harley racing, like nah, like that.
This is crazy.
Like nah, like why would we even get into that? And so it is cool for the companies that are doing it, that they, I mean, and obviously like it's it's taken off. Like
I think most of the companies should be trying to find a way to be involved. I mean, if they're a hard parts company, then for sure. I mean, the whole industry is going performance. So, not having any stake in it whatsoever is probably, I wouldn't say a death sentence, but it's not smart.
It's a big disconnect from the reality of where the industry is and heading.
I remember kind of the transition that I did from what I was into the Dynas, FXRs, and baggers back in 17 and 16, and the brands that I knew then, how they just didn't care, and then now all of them, some of them they cared enough to get ahead in line and make stuff, but some of them are just now starting to kind of like, all right, I guess this is going to stay.
Instead of pushing
5, 6, 7 years later, they're like, okay.
If any of these companies want some advice, number one, it's always changing.
Yeah.
It's always evolving. Nothing's ever going to stay the same anymore. Information, it travels and is shared too quick for it to stay the way it was back in the 2000s and 90s and early 2010s.
Yeah.
Like, you could have a scene and then it could take months for your product to actually get seen across the country. Now the shit's out before you even put it on a bike.
Yeah.
that quick. Yeah. So, it's sad when a lot of these brands that are just kind of struggling to stay relevant, they're not trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, and it's hard. I get it. Like right now, I think a lot of people are having a hard time figuring where to put their money in Harley as far as developing products. Because, I mean, especially like they just came out with the CVO and now seeing it in person, I'm on the fence about it, to be honest with you. I was kind of wanting one, but now I don't.
I want to ride it. I want to see what
I know it's got to be badass.
I just want to see what that. Have you been on one yet? Like,
it's a lot, bro. I mean, trust me, the motors. 121. It's just a lot going on that fucking bike, bro.
Yeah.
There's a lot in your face. There's fucking 37 fucking buttons on the controls now. It'll take you, like a remote. You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
But there's, well, it's the truth. Like, it's.
Do I hit source? Or
no. The first day you get a new cable box, you're like this. All right.
Yeah.
And then the third
Where's
day,
volume
you're not even looking. Right? So the start buttons are on top of the controls now.
Okay.
And you don't even got to hold the bitch down. You just touch it. It starts. It's
like
different.
a push start now.
Yeah. It's super. It's a lot.
I'm not.
Indian start.
Hey, look.
So you're told.
It's a Harley Dindian.
You had to bring that shit up, didn't you?
It's a Harley Dindian.
Indian coaster over there?
I got your Indian shit in here somewhere, dude. I need to give it back.
Oh my god.
The motor's fine. Seemed a little top heavy to me, to be honest. But I also didn't get out and hit it hard. CVO's a little. They bowed those bags out, and there's saddlebag speakers. So
Yeah.
just leave it for your imagination how that looks.
So this is what I think happened, and we kind of talked about it. I think that Harley was on track to create the monoshock frame.
Yes. Yeah. Because we've all had that conversation.
So
Yeah.
with the longer
Yeah.
bags, it seems like the longer bags were kind of designed for what you're going to need a longer subframe tail section of a bike to fit that monoshock frame.
Okay.
And what they did was, like, whether I heard there might have been a lawsuit, I heard there might have been something on the fence as to why they more or less probably rushed to market this current model. That way they can capitalize off the attention of 120th anniversary, right?
Which makes sense.
Now, I think
get
I do think that they did a good job doing so, because the bike did kind of check a lot of the boxes that I think that we as consumers wanted out of a Harley Davidson bagger, especially now since the Challenger has become such a common motorcycle in the scene.
Yeah.
Now, I shared my thoughts with you about this in Sturgis. I'm pretty sure I'd put money on it that the specials next year will be this body style.
Yeah.
But if they take away the inverted front end, the Brembo brakes, the 121 motor that makes the power that's equivalent to what the Challenger is,
Yeah.
and then they still sell it for more than a Challenger, because right now they have a Challenger competitor, but
Yeah.
it's $48,000 base price.
Yeah.
That bike needs to be 30 grand at most. And then the CVO, I don't know. Like, I don't see the market. I think that you're going to see more people buy Challengers moving forward until Harley actually does create the monoshock frame Rev Max motor bike.
And I mean, obviously, like the stuff that Kyle, Steve, like the stuff
Killing
that those guys are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of pioneering a brand. I mean, and I don't know that we would be talking, like this is a good example of what the racing has done.
Yeah.
I don't know that we'd be talking about Challengers the way that we're talking about them if it wasn't for King of the Baggers.
Yeah, for sure.
That race series, I mean, and Indian, you got to hand it to Indian, they dove all in with it also with their factory team. And then Harley had to come back and go, oh, shit, these guys are serious. And it's created this rivalry that, goes back.
It makes it fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, there's so much history behind that. But, I mean, it is just proof of just what the racing and just the way that it just crosses over. And it does sell bikes if you do it the right way. But
It does. Yeah, I think you're right, though. I think this is obviously the new future, right? Body style. How they're going to do it. From being in the business for a long time, I mean, you can't have a 121 for whatever, 48 grand. You're going to still have an ST, I guess, at a 117.
What's the ST? What motor are we going to get in that?
And
Are we
what's
going to
the
get a
difference?
normal motor?
Right.
Without the VVT in it?
Right. And then
So-
a 114 as a special. And then is there a base model, right? Because you got a 107, 114, 117, now you got a 121.
yeah.
It's a lot. Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's you got to knock those down to 2. You know, ST and special, ST and C, something.
Did they sneak the 135 into something at some point? Like, is
So
that going to
that-
happen?
Does the 130
Is it even worth talking about? Like,
I have a bike on the lift right now for a certain somebody that's getting delivered on September 7th that I put a cammed out 135 in.
So is the 135? Did it replace the 131 crate motor, or is the 131 still
you
an
can
option?
still get some. There's still some built. As soon as they're gone, they're gone.
okay.
But what I can tell you is that 121, they're already selling a throttle body that fits the 135 kit.
Oh, so that you can kind of.
You could probably, and it's not out, and I'm assuming just by, experience going, well, if that's out and this motor's out, I guess a kit's coming behind it. So I'm sure you could bump those 121s to 135s.
And all that VVT is in the cam. It's
Yeah.
Variable valve timing.
so if it's in the cam, then it has to have something to do with the valves too up top, right?
I haven't got ready to rip one apart yet.
Every time I see VVT, I think of Honda VTEC.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is VTEC. That is
Yeah.
variable valve
Yeah,
timing.
Yeah.
that's what it is. Yeah. So, and like I said,
LS
I didn't
VTEC.
hit it hard enough. I was trying to take Curtis's bike out because he was probably one of the first 2 in the country that got that bike, and he threw a trash pipe on it, intake, carbon front, rear, T-bars.
I will say this though.
But I was like, you can't tune them. They separated the circuits for
Yeah,
ECM and BCM, so I don't know how that thing's going to run. I would like to know though.
I will say this, and this isn't a jab to anybody, but when you have a bike that's so new, I don't want to see what you have already that fits. I want to see you create new things to fit the new style.
Absolutely.
And so I will say this: Curtis kind of just looked at what he had on the shelf to take it to Sturgis as something custom, but I'm hoping that he goes back and he develops a new line of parts that fit this new shape of a bike. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So he actually, it's lucky, right? Because the subframe's the same.
Yeah.
So all your mounting is the same, right? So his bars fit, his fenders fit. He had to cut some stuff to make it work. The mounting for the front bracket, front fender is different.
Different, yeah.
But as far as plug and play, yeah, most of it. And I get it. He got the thing in July.
Yeah, you
Month
want to
later. It's out with parts on it. Good job.
Yeah, I mean it's attention for
I just
sure.
want to ride his.
Yeah.
I wanna know.
Like, see.
First thing I did was walk up and look at the front head pipe, and I was like, "Fuck, you didn't ride it enough." Because I want to know if you could just slap one on and it's going to be good enough
Yeah.
for now. Because no tune.
Yeah, where's the
is
tune going to be on that if you throw a pipe? I mean,
Right.
is it, I think Codeline, how do you say it?
Mm-hmm.
They have a pipe out now. It looks pretty badass, to be honest. See, that's what I like. I want to see Codeline. Fuck, I can't remember.
I think it's Copeland.
Is it like the KODLIN?
Yeah, so I've been following them
risers,
since back when they were strictly Germany. Like they have all. I mean, European builders have always had not quite Japan, but they're up there.
They're close.
They've always built some beautiful bikes,
Yeah.
right? And obviously they kind of come. They were kind of like in that hardcore. Remember those V-Rod? They were kind of those kind of bikes. Then they did a lot of big wheel stuff.
Single side swing arm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, their risers are beautiful. A lot of the products that they're making for these bikes they're beautiful, and it's kind of like it's not strictly just performance or strictly just big wheel. It's kind of like it's a blend of, it's another flavor that we can put on our bikes as consumers that give us options to look different than your typical, guys. Whatever happened to guys like Hardcase? Remember those guys?
Yeah.
Are they still around?
Actually, those are the risers I ran on the G.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, if they are still around, and I'm not trying to throw shade on them, but if they are still around, where's version 2 of these bars? Like, it drives me nuts when I see brands leaning into the performance scene, but they are not innovating anything.
Yeah.
They're just another cone pipe, another cone engineering pipe with someone's logo on it. Bro, like, you got to get that shit out of here. You're going to have to be innovative. Like, if someone's going to drop $2,000 on a pipe these days, it needs to have some flavor to it. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So, I don't know, man. I guess maybe my complaint here is I just like seeing these other brands come in and bring fresh. Like, Roland Sands took his time, but then when he brought some shit out, it's nice. Yeah. Nice covers. It fit the style that I think that we're kind of wanting on these bikes right now. So
Roland Sands, I mean, that Buell.
Yeah,
where
are we gonna go with that? Isn't there a lawsuit for that too right now?
No, but
don't say that. They got my $50. I'm on that list.
That motherfucker's gonna be at Austin at the dealership for the race weekend.
Seriously, dude, that bike is.
And I say,
so
can I? The head of marketing was there, and I was like, "Can I ride that?" She goes, "As soon as I ride it." I was like,
I
said, "Hold on."
I think that's what she said to me
She was
too.
head design.
It's probably a hollow motor. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
They turn it on. It's a speaker.
It's behind the motor where the side cover should go. But and honestly, with that bike, sounds great, looks great. Here we go, new FXR. I think they're shopping for backers. I mean,
there's first off, I mean, I think we've already talked about this. There's no way that production bike is going to look like that.
There's no way.
No, and I said that.
I said that DOT problems, EPA.
Not even that. They get sued out their ass from Harley.
Lawyers,
all those parts look just like.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You know what I mean?
I said to her, I'm assuming when that hits the showroom of wherever it's going to be, we're looking at something different. She goes, always. I said, okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they could probably do some of the stuff that kind of have similar, but you can't take a Dyna Fender or FXR dash and your triangle can't. I mean, it's got to be 10% different, but at the same time, you don't want to start your company out or start your rebrand on lawsuits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it got the hype.
And what motor's in that thing?
It's like Buell's new motor that they've been working on.
It's 1190. It's like right. I think it's 1190, 180 horsepower. I mean, water cooled.
It's fucking nice.
I
want to ride it.
Great, but it's only like 65 torque or something like 67 torque.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably
all horsepower. It's all
more sport bike.
It's a sport bike.
Yeah,
so high geared.
It's
high revving.
Riders are not going to be as enthused. I don't know if anyone can hear me.
That's why it sounds
They're
good.
not going to be as enthused as they think they are because everyone likes torque. They don't like horsepower numbers.
That's the thing. If that bike was just as it sits going to market, all right, I'm a player. But I know at 25, 28 grand, whatever they're think they're going to be at, it's not going to look the same.
Yeah.
What was the Indian? Was it the FTR?
Yeah.
That was like, check this thing out, and then it hit the market, and it still looks cool, but it was not what they showed us.
Yeah.
And it's just, I get it, it's legal,
Yeah.
Once lawyers get their hands on it, it's safety this, safety that. Your shirt's going to get caught. Watch your shoelaces.
You lower those bars. You got to be able to fly over them.
Yeah.
Yep. You won't fly through them. Yep.
So, I mean, Tommy, you've been at Cowboy now for 9 months, 8 months?
8 months.
8 months on, with a check.
Yep.
About a year helping, almost.
Yeah.
Man, I was in the dealership a while back, and I remember those, they redid the T-Sport bags.
Yeah.
Did they ever promote that at all?
No, they released it during their, launch and product release, and nothing besides
Did
that.
you ever see these? Harley redesigned their...
Yeah, so I saw pictures from the P&A catalog, like a picture of the page of it.
Yeah.
But I've never seen them in person.
Little smaller, capacity not as big,
Yeah.
cool looking.
Yeah.
It's got the blinker cutout.
They got a blinker cutout,
Yeah.
which...
Yeah, I remember that.
So we put them on a Lowrider S. The bike sold. God love the bags. But as far as going from my Dyna, you have probably half the capacity to pack shit.
Yeah.
And there's a weird side flop down.
My wheels look too good for bags on.
You look like a chopper dude going on the highway with all your luggage hanging off the back.
You can always take them off when you get where you're going, right? Yeah. Just like the one on your back.
Someone may not see the wheels going down the road.
Just want to make sure they're...
So
with Leather Pros made it just so simple, man. They got good quality bags. They're way better than the Harley ones ever were.
Yep.
the price point, what, 700 something bucks?
Yeah, it's like 700 with the mounting brackets and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Canvas or leather.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
So what's it been like, man? I mean, you've already got promoted to top dog, right?
Yeah, that was day before I left for Sturgis. So my second day as GM was in Sturgis, so it wasn't a bad start. No, it was a lot of work, man. It's
What has been the hardest part with you coming from another dealership back down, and then like how do you even figure out where to start to rebrand, refocus, re-engineer this whole like process with this dealership?
Culture.
Yeah.
In all aspects, right? So to leave the momentum that we built in Milwaukee and come here, and I don't want to say it was stagnant, but there's no excitement.
Yeah.
You know, and you have 5 years of just being okay to wanting to be great. You have to inject that into your employees first, right? And then also you got to change perception and reputation. So I got there January 3rd. I took over Instagram January 5th.
Yeah.
Right. Then I was lucky enough to get my old marketing girl back, who just gets it. So it was really easy to go, here's the ball. I'm still adding and doing the things I need to do. But processes, culture, belief, right? Hope. You got to go in that place every day and know you're going to do good. How are you going to do good? And you want to do good. So with any place, complacency is a killer, right? So you got to re-inject that excitement with some direction and a plan. And then you got to follow through. So it's worked. Sales are up. Culture's up. Austin's a different city than when I left.
Yeah.
It's just changed. And to be honest, when you have this pendulum swinging of dealerships, it's very easy to lose the momentum and the next guy take it, right? Because we did this in 2013 and 14. We got there and it was like, man, this place ain't cracking, rocking. Central was eating our lunch. It took about a year, and then we were kind of eating their lunch. And there's back again. They're at Rumble On right now store. They got fucking probably 500 used bikes in their lot. When I got to the store, it was like 47. So it was like, okay, we need inventory to attract the people. We need the reputation. We need the branding. We need the excitement. And we need to follow through.
Yeah.
So once you're able to put those in place, which by no means is overnight, you got to get your staff to buy in. Like you can't say we're going to do cool shit and then not do it. Right?
Yeah.
So do the cool shit and then believe in your employees. The easiest way to make something grow is to give the power to the people that care, and typically that's your employees, right? And then your job, as far as me, is to inspire, motivate, and support, right? I want creative minds around me, and they're going to think different than I do. And then we say, all right, great, let's sit down, have a think back, let's figure out the best thing to do and the best way to go about it, and then support their vision. Because there's a lot of places I wouldn't be without someone doing that for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I pull shit out of my ass that, I don't even know where it comes from. But I have people that believe in me.
Yeah.
And people that support me, so we push forward. So that's all I'm trying to really instill in that place is we're going to be great again, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to do it together. Because no one person is going to change that place. It's going to take the whole team, and the whole team has to believe for it to make it happen. So far, so good.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some in and out. Some people have gone. I got a lot of good talent coming in here soon. And then, you know, I figure this last quarter of the year is going to be fine-tuning, changing some stuff around, putting urgency and setting goals. And
Yeah.
goals aren't set to be unachievable. Goals are set to be achievable. You know, I've been in a lot of places where they set the goal this high, and you're like, dude, you just killed the whole morale.
Yeah.
No one's going to get there. They're not stupid. You know, so they're not going to try now.
If you get it, we get a pizza party.
Right, you know? So let's make achievable goals, and let's make a plan to achieve it as a team and not an individual.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got lucky, fucking really lucky, actually. Rob Haskins sold his house, picked up his wife, moved to Austin, Texas. It's the guy who sat next to me for the last 5 years that helped me build House into what it is.
Yeah.
And he's sitting next to me again. So I'm
Nice.
like, great. So now it's a little pressure off me because if I got to sit and work every deal and worry about, you know, the team all day long, that's all I'm doing. I have to brand. I have to make the relationships, you know, and shake the hands and get everybody in. And then winter coming back is the same thing. So now I have a team, a core team, that's like, okay, I can breathe and go do some stuff to get people in the door.
Yeah.
So to give you an example, when I left here or there, and it was a different time in the world also,
Yeah.
right? Technology, everything. We were probably like a 50% walk-in rate store as far as the door opening, 50% online leads.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like 90. 90% online and 10% walk-in. That's the city. It's a very techie city.
Yeah.
Right? COVID had a lot to do with that. It trained people to shop from their phone. So they didn't want to go anywhere. They weren't allowed to go anywhere. So shopping habits have changed. I have to figure out how to get the door swinging again. Because we got the leads. Now I just need the people. And that's how you double the numbers.
Do you think years down the way that things will what do you think dealerships are going to be 10 years from now?
So I'm scared of that because I've sat in a lot of Harley meetings where, they can never go direct to consumer.
Yeah, it's like the government has...
There's laws,
laws.
Right? But it doesn't mean that you won't have to walk in a dealership, look at the 5 floor models you have, and then order what you want.
Yeah.
Which, to me, kills a quarter of the business because you know how many people walk in there for, a $30 helmet and leave, or a $30 wallet and leave a $30,000 bike because they're like, fuck, man, I've been looking for that for, we had it happen last night.
Yeah.
We had like one of those 11 orange and white CVO Ultras, just one of the baddest paint jobs that Harley's ever done. The guy was just walking in to buy something. He was like, fuck, left with it.
Yeah.
If you take that element away from customers, your sales will go down.
Yeah.
It's an impulse buy. I mean, it's an expensive impulse buy, but it is. I mean, especially if you walk, granted, new bikes you could see all the time, but if you accessorize one and you go, man, that thing's built the way I want it, I could leave with it and not have to fuck with it, chances are you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But if you walk that line of used bikes and see that bike that your dad had or your grandfather had or your uncle had that you always wanted, you're going to fucking buy it. So they can't take that element from us. You can't. You just can't, and it's scary. Like Livewire right now, you can go online, order the bike, and tell them where to send it. Okay. Is that where Harley's going?
Yeah, like I've talked about it before, but I felt like a lot of the brands, even though when Tesla first came out, it shook up the industry. I think a lot of brands probably, like corporation side of it, look at it like, I'd rather have that.
Yeah.
You kind of eliminate.
You cut a lot of costs.
Yeah, you cut a lot of costs out with the dealership aspect. But with Harley, a motorcycle purchase is such a passion-based purchase that, like, sometimes being in a dealership or being around it's kind of like the environment you need to be to make the purchase. If you're sitting in a household and your old lady doesn't want you to buy a bike and your mom's telling you you're going to kill yourself,
probably going to talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, you're going to talk yourself out of it. But you're in there with some dudes that's got some, walking around in casts and shit. Like, yeah, dude, get one.
To be honest, it's the every dealership should be the epicenter of that city's culture for Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Right? When you walk in there, you should smell the leather, smell the oil, feel the excitement, look at the guys around and know this is what they live and breathe. You can't take that away. That's ripping the Americana out of the culture.
Yeah.
And America is the one that gave Harley its culture, right? Like, it's a free country. That's why you were able to do what you did with these bikes in the 30s, and that's why it is where it is now. You can't take that away from the customer. Leaders are doing things a little differently right now, but those come and go, right? Harleys have stayed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at it when people get down on it. I said, man, how many CEOs or bosses have they had it over the last 100 years? Don't worry about it. It won't be the last one.
Yeah.
Just stick with it. Love your bike. Love the people around it. Embrace the culture. The dealership needs to be the center of that for every community. Because where else are you going to go for it?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it many times, different ways that dealerships can provide, like how the last time y'all came to do the podcast, and then, with Lindahl having the Road to Racing down there, where people can come in there and actually see a race bike and hear from racers and, just be, around it.
Touch, feel, smell.
Yeah, it's like outside of just being able to see it through the YouTube lens or Instagram lens. Now you're sitting there. There's Cody Melton's bike. There's
Eric Stahl's there,
bike.
Dylan Wall.
Yeah, so
31 State guys were there.
Yeah, that was a good turnout.
And if you take every different little facet and you create these little micro shows or micro exhibits, if you will, then you can kind of educate. I've always felt like when you walk in, say you're a new rider, right? I wonder what it was that inspired you to consider wanting to buy it. Maybe it was a family friend. Maybe you saw something online. Maybe you just finally saw Harley Davidson Marlboro Man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
Sons is on Netflix.
Sons is on Netflix. Right?
I bought a Dyna.
But it is. It's that stuff that do that. Right?
Yeah.
And I think I might have said this last time, but, Harley, you say you have to touch the brand 7 times. in any way, whether it's a magazine, you went on the website, you saw your buddy's bike, 7 times before you buy, not 7 times before you walk in, right? And,
Yeah.
and I know I'm repeating this, like the Bar and Shield's a very intimidating brand if you don't know it, right? For the guy who never touched a motorcycle, had no one in his family that ever rode, and gets out of college with a degree, he doesn't know what he's walking into. But that's our job to show them, right? But that's where that culture comes in. So if you don't have the right culture built in your dealership, are you really going to be able to embrace this new rider the right way and show them what avenues there are to go down? Because there's 100 avenues. You got the commuter, you got the long rider, you got the I'm just going to ride on the weekends, and you got to say it's okay to all of it because it is, right? Like I asked those questions when I was a sales guy. What type of riding do you plan on doing?
Or what kind of riding is inspiring you right now? Because that changes, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, you hang out with somebody like, the guy that I met at your dealership that time that does a lot of the Hoka Hay stuff. I mean, you hear some of his stories, you're like, man, I want to experience that, you know?
Yeah.
But
A lot of guys don't know. I get guys that come in that go, man, I want a Sportster because that's what my buddy told me.
yeah.
And I go, he's really not a buddy. Because it's, to me, and Harley will tell you, sell them every family, right?
Yeah.
Sell them the Sportster first, sell them the Softail second. Man, I know if I bought a bike from a salesman who convinced me the Sportster was the right bike, 6 months from then I'm walking back in, I paid $10,000. They're going, man, it's worth $4,000. I'm probably not buying a second Harley.
Yeah.
Right? So I try to just be honest up front and go, buddy, what kind of riding do you plan on doing? Because I'd rather you grow into that low rider S over there than out of this Sportster you're about to buy.
Yeah.
You'll thank me in 6 months. What do you mean? When you're not coming back to trade it in,
Yeah.
you're going to thank me. You'll be coming back in to put parts on it at that point.
Yeah. And just tell them, like, man, all the chicks are doing it.
Yeah, chicks, absolutely. Yeah, it's
I got a
typically-
Sportster question with being in Austin. So the chopper scene,
Yeah.
like, what, like 50% of that is like Sportsters? Like early 90s Sportster?
Yeah, but
I
there's
mean,
so many Sportsters. Like, who's going to go buy a brand new Sportster and chop
but
that?
but do you guys see, like, does that chopper Sportster scene, are they in the dealership?
Some.
Like-
Yeah, they'll be coming in for parts if they're not obsolete, I guess
Okay.
is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But, like, we just hired a bunch of guys from Buds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Buds, I don't really know what to speak on. I don't know if they're closing or selling or something, but we hired a couple guys, and they're in the chopper scene, right? So it's very relevant in Austin, and I want to say probably 80%, 85% of the guys that are on the choppers, they have another bike.
Okay, yeah.
It's
That's
like
fair.
even
yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
Matt's got a
Has
bunch
a-
of choppers, but he's got a low rider S for long
Yeah.
hauls. So
Yeah.
we do see them. It's a
Mikey, he's another one that kind of comes.
yeah,
from the
and
Austin
Dustin
chopper
goes back
scene.
and forth too.
Yeah.
Now they both got T Sports and low rider S's or STs. And
Yeah.
it's relevant. I mean, Texas Hills was a perfect example of it. I mean, I would say it was probably 50-50 from performance and choppers.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it was a good mix, and
Yeah.
it was some cool shit out
there was clean pavement and dirty pavement.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty much. That's how it worked out. But no, there was we're not done. By all means, it's we're just kind of getting started as far as turning the reputation of Austin as a whole around, not just the dealerships, right? So it's going to get there. This events we got coming up for the rest of the year, and some of the news that I'll have coming out early next year, super exciting. I mean, it's we've leveled up, especially for 24.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's coming up in September, which we should go ahead and roll into that, that whole situation, I think is going to be a great opportunity for people to come see Harley Racing. I mean, Coda's a big track. It's not something that's hard to get into. And all the festivities that are taking place to make that whole weekend just this, motorcycle-centric weekend, almost like a rally, but without the rally aspect.
Yeah.
Where you're going to be able to.
So didn't
You know-
Sturgis start around a race? I'm working on it.
Okay. Well, with that race taking place, and I mean, so you're already going to have all these brands in town, right? And
Yep.
so facilitating the nightlife for that is smart. You know what I'm saying? It's going to give, if they do want to get out of the track or the paddocks and come out and,
Yep.
experience a little bit of Austin and do it around some familiar faces, if you will.
Yeah.
I think that this whole plan is good. So September 7th is the kickoff.
Yep,
Or
September
s-
7th. I think I got 3
Yeah.
to 9 bike night at the dealership.
So bike night,
Yeah.
Thursday, September 7th.
Yep. So we'll have, I think we're up to like 20, 25 vendors. we got a ton of shit. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to hit a little bit of a list later, but I'm not going to cover them all because I haven't deciphered my phone from Sturgis 100% yet. But bike night 3 to 9 on Thursday, and then Friday. So take your vacation days. I've been posting it. You got them, use them. This is the weekend you want to do it. Friday 2 to 8 at the dealership. We're doing a Cowboy Harley Davidson bike show. Millhouse will be the MC, and Jace is a judge. Jeremy's a judge. Millhouse is a judge. Jeff Holt is a judge. Ben from Get Bent Moto. And Rennie. Talked to Moose actually on the way up. He's going to laser me out some awards.
Make sure they have like what people win on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of like lazy.
Yeah.
You just get
they're all the same.
Yeah, it's like, what'd you win? This piece of metal.
I got one of those at the house right now. Yes, so that's going to happen, and then a lot of companies that are setting up or weren't able to make it are sending a ton of giveaways. So every class is going to win something to fit their bike.
Nice.
And that's still snowballing. So 2 to 8, all the homies are out. 8 to 2 a.m. Come and take it live on Riverside. It's a buddy of mine's venue. Anthony Stevenson and Ben Davis. We've been friends for 20 years. Gave me the venue for the night. So it's a two-floor venue, ton of parking, ton of bike parking, ton of car parking. And to be honest, it's about 15 minutes from the track, 15 minutes from the dealership, 10 minutes from downtown. Fast Life Garage, V2 Visionary present the industry after party, 8 to 2 a.m. Not doing a band. I'm going to do a DJ, keep it, low enough that we could talk and network and make magic happen the way I like to say it. And, man, everybody just turn one on, rip it up. And
the industry party that we had all put together at House for that Mama Tried weekend, like if you want to be in the industry or you just want to meet some of these brands, those opportunities to come and be around it, like you're fucking yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Like show up. It's a chance for you to, if not make an introduction for yourself, just be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Hear some of the people in the industry talking about things. And for some of y'all might not give a shit. Who cares, right? But it's a good opportunity, and in my opinion, it's a chance for all these people in Austin that have been talking about how they want a scene to come and actually support something that's being created, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if that venue sees success out of this, then that might open up for further opportunities to create other types of events out of this venue.
Absolutely.
So
100%. I think that the Milwaukee Industry Party, the feel in that place that night, it was something different. It was something special. And and that's what I enjoy watching is, I might have some productive conversations. At the end of the day, I'm still kind of working it. But watching the people who are in the industry that might have not crossed paths before sit down and have a conversation, and you see a collab or you see a bike build or you see something come out of that, that's what the good feeling for me is being able to open up the platform for everybody to get in one room and figure out what else needs to be done. Yeah. Right?
I mean, we're an industry where collaborations in some form or fashion is what really grow things. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't think any brand is big enough to be completely self-sufficient. Maybe Saddlemen. They got a nice little facility going on. But, like you want to be able to connect with these different brands and network or find out how you can work with each other or how – maybe you just want to buy it and be able to talk to this brand about like their product a little bit more in depth, whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? So
it's one of those, you put the right people in the right place all together, something cool is going to come out of it. It might not be for everybody, but you figure out in a couple months what happened and where it happened.
Yeah.
And that's what I get the kicks out of. So it'll be one of those, I'll do my Irish goodbye at some point that night, so I'll see everybody Saturday morning. So you guys turn it up and get after it, but I'll be there for a good portion of the night. Teddy will be in town. We're building him a pretty badass bagger right now. He knows nothing about it.
He doesn't know, probably.
No, he knows it's coming. He knows nothing. I mean, I've shown him a little glimpse of a sketch and a part of a swing arm. So it's pretty fucking dope. So I'm excited. And then Saturday morning, everybody's meeting at the dealership, 8:30, 8:45. We are providing breakfast. It's Brandon's Iron Breakfast. He's our events coordinator. He actually makes a badass breakfast. So I'll be cooking breakfast for everybody at 9. Figure 10:30. Jeff and Maggie, Teddy, everybody together. We're going to ride over to the track. Holt has 20 wristbands for the first 20 people that show up to get you into the track that day. And then he's running a V-Twin performance show there. So might as well ride over there, park our bikes, go in, enjoy the races, and take in that whole weekend. We don't get very many moto opportunities in Austin these days because of Route Rally being gone.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, MotoGP, that hand-built shows wrapped around, and now you have this. So try to make the best out of what we're getting and hopefully create some more.
Yeah.
And it's cool because as far as Moto America is concerned, Laguna Seca is the big show.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one that they're like, oh, man, this is the big money maker. Everybody rolls in, and you get all these California people coming. And I've been telling everybody, I'm like, watch out. You're about to roll into Austin, and I know the work you've been doing.
Yeah, well, let me touch on that. So this is how it kind of all came together. As soon as I got back, I wanted to take advantage of this weekend. I was doing something, right? And it was basically what I had set up. So I get a phone call in March from Moto America. Hey, man, just letting you guys know that we're coming to Austin in September, and it looks like that's your area. And I said, hold on 1 second. What's your email? And I shot over everything I had already set up. And this fucker guy goes, what in the fuck? I was like, I've been ready since last year, since I left Milwaukee. So graciously enough, these guys have stamped every event we're doing, sponsored by Moto America.
Yeah.
And all of our events will be on their socials, on their website. They're fully supporting the dealership. They send us banners, drop downs, ticket giveaways, you name it, we're there. So that's big for not only the dealership, but for Austin as a whole, because I actually talked to him yesterday, because, man, we go to a lot of cities.
Yeah.
We do a lot of cities. Texas, by far, Austin has embraced us the most, because they had their road guy out, their marketing guy, say 2 weeks ago. So he started in like San Antonio and worked his way up. He's like, everybody knows we're coming. I'm like, yeah, they should. That's the purpose. So ticket sales are way higher than they're expecting as of now, and they really didn't roll it out till like 2 days ago.
Nice.
So like I want to say Thursdays when they really started pushing. So I think it's going to be a good one. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think that's going to be a staple in their circuit every year.
It's a trendy track, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
I mean, for sure. There's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
Connected to Austin. Austin's a booming town right now. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, like Laguna Seca is like, anybody that's ever followed any racing or played Gran Turismo definitely knows Laguna Seca, right? But, I mean, Laguna Seca is not backed up to a major city the same way that Coda is.
Right.
No.
Laguna Seca is, 100 miles south of San Francisco, and, you got Monterey there, but that's really a town that shuts down around 8:30, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just feel like it's almost like if you put a track right there in L.A., it's kind of like what it is.
You got a younger city, a city that's, very active, as far as every demographic of the city, whether they're racers or not. I mean, there's going to be guys out there to watch every bike. I mean, it's I'm excited, man. This is, for me, it's been 9 months worth of anticipation to make sure that we could pull this off correctly. Would help everybody. I think we did it,
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to see.
Yeah.
The only thing worried about me, I'm throwing a bike show at 3 o'clock on a Friday, so. But, it's going to be one of those you should be there on Wednesday, Thursday, and stay all weekend. I mean, there's
definitely going to be stuff going on. There'll probably be some unofficial things taking place, Thursday night. I mean, especially with Mikey running White Horse out there. So we'll probably be out there.
Yep.
There's plenty of stuff to do, plenty of food. I mean, I don't know what the weather's going to be like. I mean, I'm hoping it'll be
a cold
cooler.
front coming in. I saw it's like 99 next week. So it should be all right. I mean,
Oh, my gosh.
I hope it's not 100 and fuck you out there. I really do, because I want everybody to enjoy it, And we'll shift at the dealership if need be, but, we're going to block off on Friday the front parking lot down the steps. Thursday's fully on, parking everywhere. All the vendors will be going in that grass lower lot that we have, like right out front of the doors. And we'll have some bikes up there. So I know Cody's, I talked to Cody on the way up. So his bike's going to be front and center at the top of the steps all week. What's Murphy's name?
Oh, like Brendan Murphy.
Brendan's coming out. So
113%.
Yeah. Paul gave me a list of people that are coming. So I'll have some, not King of Baggers bikes out there, but BRL bikes. We'll have race bikes on display all weekend.
Nice.
And the more we could bring in. We got some custom shirts coming that are pretty funny. That would be cool. The more the merrier. It's one of those, I want everybody to come to the party.
Well, my goal and plan is hopefully to be able to take off earlier in the week and come up and turn that media room into a podcast studio. But, it's also a situation where I'm finally home and I need to work. You know, a lot of people want their shit from me right now. So my goal is to basically see if these pills will help me get some things done over the next couple weeks.
Not just crush them up.
Crush them up.
Might hit it more. But yeah, that room's yours. And, you know, I told you I'm going to reach out and see if I could set something up. But, fuck, man.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things, too, like we started the podcast off. It's like I know a little bit about the bagger racing stuff, but I also don't know enough about all these racers that I feel like I can do them the justice that I think they would. So sometimes having somebody else in there that's a little more connected to it makes it easier to kind of let them ask the fill-in-the-blank questions that I don't know to ask. You know what I'm saying? So
Maybe you find somebody.
Yeah, possibly.
So, you know.
But, you know, it's...
I talk a lot. I mean, I could probably do it, but, you know.
It's I'm just fucking stoked. I mean, it's been a lot. When they bought in, it was just a good feeling. You know, that's fucking awesome.
So how, like with the Teddy, you know, basically expanding his empire right now?
Yeah. Oh my God.
How is like what's Daytona look like next year?
So there'll probably be some changes, and obviously Teddy wants everything to grow.
Yeah.
And so which means it will. Where it goes, I'm not too involved in that area.
Okay.
You know, they said, "Here's the ball." I know what my mission is. Mm-hmm. You know, I got a store to get up and running and get right, but I will always help influence if possible.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
which I have, and that's a good thing. You know, Teddy's 50 dealerships or close. He's a real dude. You know, there's not a lot of guys out there that.
Well, if you follow him online right now, he's out riding his bike all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, there's hope there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's very weird, you know, if he was in a room and I didn't tell you that, you know, man, this guy owns 47, 46, 48, whatever dealerships it is, you wouldn't know.
yeah.
And that's really what I like about him, is that he's just a regular dude. And so when he puts his mind to something, you see what happens, though.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think you'll see a lot of positive changes in Daytona, and I think you'll see a lot of that.
Terraforming.
Yeah, I see a lot.
Put some hills out there,
Yeah,
maybe.
put some hills. Yeah, just inflatable hills. Yeah, but you'll see a lot of you know, possible changes coming probably in Biketoberfest, which is a couple
Nice.
months away.
That'd be cool.
Which is a tough one because we got Born Free, Biketoberfest, same days. I'll be at Born Free.
Born Free is going to be a great one this year. I mean, our FXR Tour stuff is like coming. It's down to the wire. We got 2.5 months, basically 2 months now, honestly. And you know, I got phone calls all week. I got to finalize all the rest of the information on the tour aspect from what Justin and I are putting on, and yeah,
It's a lot.
I got to fucking let's be real. I got to paint a bike.
Two.
Corey built it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's coming down. You know, Matt's going to help out a lot with some more of the stuff that we're going to design on the bike or whatnot. I'm excited, man. I haven't had a reason to build anything frame off, or you know, really put your mind to it. So I'm excited about that aspect. And I don't have any motorcycles other than Corey's to paint in the shop, so I don't have any big demanding projects that's going to take my attention away. And other than coming to Austin for this, I'm married to the shop until it's time to go to do the hopefully go do Run to Terralingua, then Durango, and make a big loop out of the deal.
Yeah,
so
fucking Adam came up to the dealership about a month ago, hung out.
Yeah.
He was a fucking cool cat, dude.
yeah, Adam, man, I had the intention was on the way back from Born Free to go stop down there and do a podcast with him to help promote Run to Terralingua because I had a blast last year. But the heat said fuck that.
Yeah.
So because he's down deeper in the desert, and I'm like, bro, he's gonna have to.
I didn't realize he moved down there.
Yeah,
I remember
he
him
moved.
talking about it on a podcast, like he was about to last year ish. And he came up, popped in. We spoke briefly on a Friday, and then he just came and hung out for like 4 or 5 hours on Saturday.
He's a good ambassador for that area. When he speaks on things, he's very passionate, and he didn't lie about it. He lied about the hotel that I stayed in. He upsold that thing, but for the most part, the rest of it was all true. So, and one of those things, I hate when people do this because I always call bullshit, but I didn't on this one. They're all like, yeah, there's this spot in Big Bend where, you know, you can just walk across the water and go get tacos. You don't even have to have a passport.
I remember hearing that.
And then you pull up to a fucking like a damn customs basically, and there's a cop in there like, all right, passports and IDs, and I'm like, man, someone told me I can get across without one, right? It's like I look like an idiot over here, you know.
I talked to him about that. He says like an hour-ish walk or donkey ride or something.
Yeah, you do a donkey ride, and then you
That's
get
what
to
it
the
was,
other
yeah.
side, and then there's usually like some busted up like caprices that they'll take you up the hill.
Okay.
I mean, I was down for the experience.
Did they throw you in the trunk or?
I never got across.
Oh, shit.
That's called human trafficking.
It's called taco
Not to
trafficking.
get tacos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Taco trafficking.
Yeah, okay.
There was no other fast food in Big Bend, so I'm pretty hungry at this point.
Yeah.
The custom spot sold no candy bars.
nothing. Dude,
Nothing.
It's bullshit.
Had no food.
Yeah, it's like,
Bullshit.
dude, put up like a what are those little things with the food in, like a
Vending
vending
machine.
machine.
Vending machine? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, bro.
He,
You know they got gummies.
we talked about making, and we'll probably get this together. I was like, dude, I know I'm in Austin, but if I could help promote or make this a jumping point for a ride going out there, my house is your house. Just let me know what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know, just to, people don't know, you know, and they do it. You know?
I've always said this, like, I've lived in Texas forever and been riding, almost 20 years in Texas now. And basically, I always put Big Bend as it's just down the street. I'll do it some other day, right? Yeah. I'm not going to take a whole, like, bunch of my free time to go do something that's down the street. It's still a good ride down there as far as time is concerned. But, man, like, it's been missing out, man. I went there last year, the week before Born Free Texas, and it was good riding weather. It wasn't blazing hot.
Yeah.
The whole like Starlight Lounge thing, like everything out there is how he explained it, but there was a lot more people there than I was expecting, so it made it kind of hard to eat the foods that we were going to eat there, but
Yeah.
for the most part it was a pretty rad experience going down there. And it is crazy. You're riding down the highway and you just see tarantulas walking across the road.
Oh yeah.
It's wild.
There's wild donkeys that'll run around down there.
You
Like
said there's some sort of, I think it's a solar eclipse this year. Like
I don't know if it's
middle
this
of the
year or
day.
next year,
No,
but if it's this year, yeah, it actually. So you know how like when they do like the solar eclipses, they'll have like a path of like total eclipse across the country.
yeah.
Right now, this year at Run to Terralingua is part of. It's like in the path.
That is
I think it's on a
awesome.
Friday.
Okay.
At like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So you just stand on top of this mountain, you watch the whole thing, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
So that's
Crazy hippie chicks out there.
yeah.
No question about it.
No, there is like so.
No, seriously, like marathon and alpine and
Yeah.
yeah.
You're looking for a hippie chick, that's where you go.
Dude,
During the eclipse, like that's
they're out there charging their crystals.
You're gonna be out there on top of the banks and shit. It's gonna be wild out there.
They got them laid out on their hood, just like
Yeah.
all 400 of them.
Yeah, sitting in circles of them. It's gonna happen. You'll see it for sure.
This is great being on this podcast and no one can actually see who's talking back here. I can just say
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
So we're gonna switch seats here in a little
I
bit.
can just talk all this shit back here and nobody knows who it is. Big Ben's a trip. Yeah, it's dark side, right? Like, did you turn on a flashlight out there?
I wanted to. So when I went, I videoed the whole thing. So I have like a start to finish like video that I can make like a little YouTube thing. But I wanted to do more photography. I got some amazing shots on my Road Glide out there in like 4 different spots.
Yeah.
That I really was stoked about. But I never got a chance to really do any astrophotography out there. I don't know. It was just like. I've done that before where you take a picture like the Milky Way, and then once you've done it once, it just kind of doesn't have the same sting anymore, I don't know. It's what am I going to do with it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's better just to like lay there and look up and just,
Take the moment.
take it in,
Have you guys been out to Big Ben yet? Yeah. How many
I'm only 4 hours away.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah.
No, I haven't. But I was hoping to get to a bunch more shows this year, but my work status has changed.
Yeah.
So, but it's just fine.
I feel like the industry-wise, I think the 2 main shows that everybody should be going to is Born Free California and Sturgis. Those 2 shows, as far as like connecting with other brands and whatnot, like Born Free is the best at it because it's in a smaller space and you're just able to meet some of the biggest names that you wouldn't even know that person owns PM and he's sitting right there.
Yeah.
And
Sturgis is spread out. So
Sturgis is spread out, so it's hard to find these people in the same parking lot. But Born Free is just I don't know, it's amazing. And then I mean, yeah, you got Daytona, but Daytona is kind of an East Coast thing for people.
It's a party rally.
It's a party rally,
You know,
like
that's-
no
Yeah,
question.
it is.
And that's
Yeah.
it's a party rally.
Doesn't come out there anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sturgis
I'm sober now.
is
Yeah.
Sturgis.
Body armor over there. That's vodka, everyone.
Sturgis is more of your riding rally to an extent, right?
Wow,
I
we
mean,
ain't
there are
riding
parties.
over there.
No, this year is show after show after show, but that was good. I had a good time.
Well, Sturgis, I think that it can give you both. I mean, Born Free can give you both too. If you go there and spend some time in LA, you can go hit some amazing rides real close. But and there's a lot of brands that are based there, so you can go do and visit a lot of vendors the week before Sturgis, and make some connections that way. But I mean, before Born Free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sturgis is, I've always said like Sturgis is the end of the year for me. Every year, like a calendar motorcycle year to me is Sturgis to Sturgis, right? Because after Sturgis is over, then it's like you're preparing for the next build up for the next Sturgis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What products, what brands, some of the biggest builds that are going on are all to land on Sturgis. Even though we don't have the shows there to really, there's tons of shows. Other than the FXR show, there's not like a show where, and I'm not trying to talk shit here or anything. There's not like a show that's judged by people outside of the, you know what I mean? There's not that. So to win a show in Sturgis, you won this show or this show, but you kind of won. You didn't win because like your bike down to the T had more done in a more cohesive manner, and the judges were unanimous. There's no Riddler Award at Sturgis, right? And I think that it'd be nice if we had something like that where there was a real purse on the end. There was judging that was done over a course of time that like by people outside of who is putting on the promotion of the show. And that way someone could go home and be like, yeah, I got the baddest fucking Softail in Sturgis or the baddest FXR in Sturgis, like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, you got to follow. Really, what it basically boils down to, you need to do biker build off to an extent where you're actually documenting the builds too,
Yeah.
so you could see them actually be created, be ridden there, and then show up at that show where it's whether it's online because you watch the whole series and you're in person, vice versa. But yes, I agree that a mecca of a show,
Yeah.
is what.
And
it
I
is.
mean, I've been trying to think of ways to do it. I think the FXR tour stuff is kind of giving us a taste of what it is to kind of carry something along throughout the year. And like you said, you want something like that. That way there's a generated hype. There's a competition. And even though the FXR tour is not a competition amongst the builds, it's just a competition for yourself to build a bike that can ride 1,000 miles. When you see some of the bikes that go to Born Free, and they're not always rideable, but they're works of art, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be like a class where in Sturgis where you have this bike that's built. It's fucking just it's kind of art. I mean, it might be able to be ridden into there, but you're not gonna run it down needles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not riding at home. Yeah.
But then you also want to have like these other classes where, maybe you do have that Riddler Award for this pristine, most amazing engineering, the wheel thing where the dude's got air in his axle, like shit like that.
I went by Covington's booth. What's that blue bike? Is it blue?
Which
Is it
one?
a blue Springer that's completely engraved? Have you seen that? So
They have a couple ones. They had a trike Springer that was gold, Candy.
No, this one's blue, and everything on the bike is engraved. It was kind of like, in front of their tent, it was kind of off to the side, but still on display. I mean, the wheels are engraved. The fucking cases are engraved. I was like, God damn, man. Like,
Covington don't fuck around, man. They brought 18 bikes.
yeah. How many you go
Over
home with?
over $2 million worth of inventory or something like that.
I stopped by and talked to him.
They got it down, man. Like those, whether it's your style of bike you're into or not, they have the customer base. They have the ability to buy and get and produce bikes for people that are not going to break down. They have levels of those bikes from an entry-level custom all the way up to a full-blown custom, and they're all bikes that you can buy at Sturgis and go rip those hills, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I was
You know?
impressed. I was. Yeah, I think you had, 2 out there?
I
There's a-
painted
a
I
green
painted a
one?
trike, a green street glide, and then a orange road glide
Yeah,
for
I've seen
them.
that one. So one must have sold, because when I was there was only 2 of yours.
Yeah, so I think so far, or yesterday was the last day of Sturgis, so I think they all sold, except for the green street glide. That was the last one that we had built for the thing.
Silverleaf.
Yeah, Silverleaf on it. So it came out nice, but
Yeah.
colors of bikes are like waves, right? Sometimes like everybody wants green bikes, and then everybody wants gold bikes, and then you know what I mean? They're fads, if you will. So
That's what I got all weekend. Fucking brown bike. And then I win. I was like, yeah, fucking brown bike. Yeah.
well, brown. I think brown right now. I was talking about it with somebody like during Sturgis that like the browns are just kind of appealing to people right now. If Harley came out with a root beer color again on next year's models, I guarantee you they're going to sell. Who was talking about? Was it you that were making fun of all the gray bikes? Like, I don't know. Somebody was. Like everybody's kind of getting tired of the
gunship,
the Dodge Grays, those things right now. So,
yep, that's there's a lot of them. That's the new black street glide is the gunship gray.
Yeah, I got one for sale downstairs.
Yeah,
Let's wait. Let's stop. Let's talk
it's a
shit
real
about
great
that
color,
in a couple
actually,
weeks.
Yeah. There was man, that blue bike kept kicking my ass all weekend. Was it
Woodlawn baggers, yeah.
Fuck. It was a lot of shit on that bike, bro. I mean, it was every Italian company, period. But Pineapple Heads, 131. Became friends with the guy that owns it.
I
It's
saw
fucking
that.
nice, dude.
Yeah.
It was, and I actually seen him. I told him, was it Monday or Tuesday? It was Monday. I said, what are you doing tomorrow? He goes, I don't know. I said, you should ride all fucking day. And he just looked at me and went, is there another fucking show? And I went, no. The fucker showed up at it. So, but then Wednesday I was in Deadwood getting coffee, and I just walked out of the coffee shop and I look up and he's at the red light. So I just turned around. He fucking went off. He did not show up at the Wednesday show, but ended up becoming buddies with him. He's from New York, so he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, where are they based out of?
Woodlawn Baggers, South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, Paulie, who owns the bike, is from Brooklyn. But even the ST they had out there and that white Road Glide that I think his name's Colton, who owns the place, they put together well.
Yeah,
he did a good job. He didn't spare any dollars on them. That's for sure.
I gotta say this.
I know it's coming. You told me.
So, if they do ever listen to this, instead of copying one of my helmet paint jobs, just ask me.
Oh, God.
Just ask me. Or let me, or pay me to draw you a new one. Come on, bro. But no, they did have some nice bikes. It's good seeing some of these other companies that have been primarily doing big wheel stuff starting to kind of broaden their horizons. I mean, if you really think about it, man, like that's the only way that you can progress and stay relevant in the industry, right?
100%.
If you, with the caveat, there's guys that are bin choppers, strictly choppers, fuck everything else, I'm chopper forever, and I guarantee you their business is taking a hit. They probably had to downsize enough to just stay
they're just
alive.
A flat line.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys really grow with what the trend is and what everybody's
it's like
buying. It's
if you want to be in business building bikes, then you kind of have to build what's popular, and you got to find a way to turn it into where you're inspired to do it. I always like give people this analogy. When the panel paint job stuff started really, really becoming unavoidable for me in my industry, I had no choice but to find out or to do it. But instead of just doing the basic panel paint job, which is the easiest thing in the world, I found ways to make it complicated, to make it to where mine was, I found a way to make me interested in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
By not, let me put it like this. The reason why panel paint jobs are so simple and why you've seen so many painters pop up over the last, 8-9 years is because if you take a square saddlebag and you just put a square on it and then another, it's a panel. Like, you're not really designing anything. You're literally just tracing out the shapes that are already made.
That's there.
So in order to make that panel paint job hard to me, I created my own shapes within that were not the shape of the part. That's why you'll see a lot of my baggers that'll have a different flow. And you know what I mean? You got to take what's there and make it complicated. So if you're a badass, let's say you've been cutting necks and building the baddest big wheel baggers in the world, then you need to take what you're good at and find out how to do it in this world and make yourself relevant. You know what I mean?
Very high compliments of your paint job on both all week, but the exact words were Jace fucking leveled up on that, and then they were like, who puts a forward-facing point on a goddamn gas tank?
Well, tell them to fuck off, 'cause I've been doing that for years.
But they were saying it because they loved it. You know what I mean? It was just that flow. They were just kind of taken back of like, hold on a second, what am I looking at here? So
thanks for finally looking at us.
I got it in front of some good eyes this week for you too.
Well,
so.
yeah, there's, oh man, you know, it's always the weirdest one is like, I've said it 100 times on this podcast, but it's always a backhanded compliment. You've really gotten good. Or wait, how does it go? It's kind of like what you said.
Really good at this.
No, it's like you've really stepped your game up.
Yeah.
I'm like, bitch, like, when did I step up? Was it just now?
Yeah.
So everything else sucks?
Up until this one, kind of on the fence, but finally got
So I
it.
think people think that's a compliment, but it's, I mean, it is
It's a
probably,
backhanded
it's like, oh,
It
well,
is,
man.
and you get some people that might not even be following every one of your paint jobs or seeing all your bikes, you know, which it was.
But then you look at their Instagram and half their shit has my flavor on it. So.
that was. I'm impressed. I already picked out another color scheme for next year.
I think, well, when it comes to it, it's like, when you're, you know, I've said this a lot of times, but when you design a paint job on a bike, I remember when I was younger, there was a couple of bikes that I really couldn't explain to you, but when the bagger thing started getting big in the late 2000s, there were a couple paint jobs that hit the scene that almost everybody and their mom copied, right? And there's always been those things over the years that like one paint job will come out and it kind of causes a fork in the road or it changes direction in the style that people go with.
And then it becomes the baseline.
And then it becomes baseline and goes. And I wouldn't say that I've been fortunate to hit that base or been one of those pivoting points, but I know some people who have done stuff that have kind of changed the flavor in which things are being done. You could see a lot of my influence in certain bikes, but then again, my influence is still like what I do is still an influence of other people that I admire.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's really, we're all sharing ideas and, you know, some of us get better at, you know, forward facing points as you see on that helmet right there behind you.
Yep.
2017.
Pretty sure I had a forward facing point on my bike from you in 2017 too.
Exactly.
So.
That's always, I don't know. So I did a lot of lowriders growing up, you know, and lowrider paint jobs. And if you want to go a certain style, a lot of those have points. They do have a panel-esque flavor to them, but some of them will have points in it. And so I kind of, when I jumped into the panel paint game, I brought that flavor into it. And then the race helmet flavor of like a Poland and R-Star design. Like a lot of those different race helmets, I love those flavors, but I also like flake, leaf, airbrush, you know, those things too. So I think it lends itself as performance bikes have gotten more popular. It's still a motorcycle and it's still like your self-expression, and you kind of want a nice paint job on some of these bikes, right? There's been the sayings, I think it was started in Daytona, like performance bikes don't have custom paint jobs on it, right? Well, performance bikes don't sit in parking lots at bike shows either, motherfucker. So fuck off.
Yep,
you know what I
100%.
mean? So we're all doing this. It's all fun.
Get the hell out of here. Who says dumb shit?
You're friends, dude. Fuck them. I'm just fucking with you. You were in the photo with them. I'm just playing with you.
That's,
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, like, don't, before you jump out and start making a lot of, you know, projecting your own ideas on things. Just think about what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like,
don't be ignorant to what's
yeah.
going on around you. Yeah,
because I ride my Easter color painted bike all over the country, and you trailer.
The people
So
that say that performance bikes don't have fancy paint jobs are the people that can't afford it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's be
To be
real.
honest,
Put that on your fucking T-shirt.
Texas Hills, it was actually a customer of mine through many years. I hadn't seen him for a while. He's like, man, that's a nice bike. I was like, cool. He's like, I was like, yeah, bro. You know, and I was just telling him, he's like, you're going to ride that thing? And I was like, what? Like, what did you think I was going to do with it? You know, granted, yes, it's going to be in shows, but I built it to ride it. And he was blown away.
Yeah.
I was like,
You see the condition
Yeah.
that my bike pulled up to?
Dude, you had a dead bird in the front.
still there. Still there.
That bird showed up to Cowboy Austin.
I'm pretty sure it might be there when you get the bike back, too. So it
I
was.
told him to wash it out.
Yeah, he goes, I'll tip the porter. I'm like, dude, it's fucking, it's fucked up, but it is what it is.
I saw that video and I was like, I was sad, dude. I was
Yeah.
like, God
I debated posting it.
Yeah, it's kind of morbid.
Like Chico posted too. I
So
was
they were looking at the bike for about an hour and a half yesterday, and they didn't notice. And I said, "Did you guys look at the fairing yet?" And they went, "Oh, what the fuck?" I was like,
that bird in Amarillo.
Just
Oh my
took it with him.
gosh.
by Monday, it's going to be just a carcass smelling.
Yeah.
It's going to stink. I think we're going to leave it in there, though. We'll clean the rest of the
Stuck
bike.
It's stuck in between the light and the fairing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's gross.
And it just looks so sad. Like the bird's face looks so
Well, it's been in a hairdryer at 100 miles an hour.
sad. Fucking choked out bird.
Yeah.
Poor fucking thing.
Yeah,
Well-
being a broiler.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like the thing, but like all these different flavors of bikes, like whether it's performance or the Viklas or whatever people are into, right? The self-expression that comes with this is, paint is one of those options. It might not be, it's an expensive option. Don't get me wrong. Probably one of the most expensive options that you're going to deal with, but, and there's also levels to it. I mean, there's always a painter out there that's trying to get their name out that might not be on certain levels, but it doesn't mean they're doing bad work, right? They just might not have the design ability that someone else, or maybe the quality's not quite there. But there's a reason why some paint jobs cost $15,000 and some cost $3,500.
100%.
They're not all the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So as a painter, how do you handle like and it's probably not happening as much now as maybe earlier on, but when the customer's like, see this bike, I want something like this. Like, do you deal with that still?
Yeah, 100%.
So how do you balance that where you're like, okay, like I want to respect my customer and this thing without I'm copying or ripping you off?
Well, for the most part, like I don't really deal with someone else's style. Unfortunately, a lot of us painters on upper
you
upper
can say,
middle,
I mean, yeah, you're
upper
doing
middle,
you're doing upper.
we have
quality
we're all
paint. Yeah.
friends. So like
Yeah.
if that's a paint job that Jeremy painted, then I'd give him Jeremy's number.
Okay.
It's the thing is that like the country is not as big as it was 20 years ago, right? So
Yeah.
what is it to have your bike? What is it to drive across country if you're spending thousands of dollars to take it to the guy that you want to deal with versus, well, I don't want to drive 1,000 miles to this guy. I'm just going to have this guy copy him, right? There are those guys.
Yeah.
Still, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And they
definitely.
will do it. Yeah.
But for the most part, like paint is like you got to pick paint like you're picking art, not like you're picking exhaust off the shelf.
Exactly. Like that's the artistic side of it. I mean, that's
So
where.
if someone has a flavor you like, then you go get that flavor.
Yeah.
And there might, Schultz has a flavor that's very unique to him, but there's a lot of people that kind of follow the Schultz flavor, so you can kind of get a lesser version of Schultz by some other people, right? He might be $15,000, but there might be a dude that's kind of in that range for $7,000.
Yeah.
And there's definitely going to be a dude that's like trying to get his name out there for $3,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And sometimes you're rolling the dice. That $3,000 dude might fucking surprise you and give you that $10,000 paint job that you really wanted but you couldn't afford.
Yeah.
Or he might cost you another $3,000 on top of your paint job because now you got to fix all the shit this dude just did.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Feel the fucking lines.
Yeah.
That or you start riding and the shit starts blowing off. You know what I mean? When it gets to high end bike building, like your paint job can make or break. And the same thing in the lowrider industry. This is kind of what, in my opinion, plagued the lowriders. You'd have dudes that would spend so much money engraving, chroming, doing all this stuff to their frame, and then they'd do this. They'd find an artist, because in a lowrider game, usually it's a graphic guy and then you got a clear guy. Mm-hmm. So the graphic guy gets $16,000 to do all the art and the mural and shit, and this guy gets $2,500 to clear it. So you got $16,000 worth of work, and you got a $100 gallon of clear.
Yeah.
It's not gonna fucking last.
Yeah.
And you would see this bad quality. You would never see the perfect, right?
Yeah.
And then you find people that got the $16,000 worth of artwork and got the $20,000 worth of finish work. And in the car world, that's what it is.
Like that's this kind of the standard
Yeah.
of what you're doing with that. So
And I think
that was
that
pretty big, and when I was in mini trucking and everything too.
Yeah.
Like Heat Wave in Austin, go to hotel parking lots right before the show. There's guys with orange peel all over.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It just looks like trash.
So I'm hearing
20 feet away, it's good.
Yeah.
I'm here in
Yeah, it's
Waxahachie,
20
so they
foot
do
rule.
a big C10. It's called C10s in the park. That's right there, and the hotels by my house are packed with some of the nicest C10s in America, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like the reason why classic cars cost so much is that nowadays to get a restoration paint job on it, you could be $80,000 into it in the paint, dude.
yeah.
It's crazy.
So when you try to explain to people the cost of paint and how insane it's getting, you know, $15,000 bagger paint job for a 30, that's 50% of the cost of this bagger, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then if they've never had, you know, a nice paint job, they've never, like some of the paint jobs we've done, there's 10-year-old paint jobs still on the street that look good.
Yeah.
And so that's, they don't think that it's going to last that long. So it's like, I don't want to spend 15 grand on something that's going to be trash. I mean, I don't recommend getting a paint job and then killing dead birds and leaving it on there all week. It's probably going to fuck up the paint eventually.
That's not the proper care for your clear coat. That's.
I mean, dead bugs they have acid in them, so they do have a tendency to eat into the clear coats and things like that.
Getting washed.
As we speak.
Cowboy Harley's taking care of it. Cowboy Harley.
Tomorrow.
Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
But no, it's difficult, man. I mean, same reason, like, you know, the same dudes will probably roll the dice if they're doing a massively built big motor. That's why when the motor game, especially when the M8 came out, more people started doing bigger motors because it became less of a risk to spend the money on it because the 124 kits were bringing out great power and they were reliable.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the 131s. A lot of people talk shit about 131s when they came out. The walls are too thin, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? It fucking works. I rode cross country all the time, no issues, right? So some people have had issues, but then again, they're probably like Jetty on a bike.
Oh, it's factory. I mean, to be honest, the fucking issue I had last week, the only thing we come up with was bad casting on the head.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and that's the only thing we come up with. Like, I've never seen a fucking motor leak oil out of a motor mount bolt in the front. Like, dude, it took him 35 minutes to figure it out. I was like, is it the head gasket? Is this? It's like, it's this fucking hole right here.
Yeah, that front motor mount, right? With
And I took the motor mount off and powder coated it, but we used the same fucking bolt. We didn't change bolts. And then we pulled the cylinder off, and there was an 1/8 inch straight score in it. I didn't ride it like an idiot. 645 miles on it.
Yeah.
So just that's got to be factory, right? It happens, right? It's human error, or, you know, machine error, or whatever it is. But
so I think that what I'm kind of getting at is basically sometimes the more money you're paying for, more professionalism and more of a guarantee that you're going to get what you're paying for. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the gamble for the cheaper paint job might just be someone talking shit over there?
Sad about the bird.
Oh.
We got PETA chiming in over here now. Oh, great. Way to go, Mark.
That hurts my wife.
Actually, it's Tommy's wife.
Is it? It probably is. Yeah. She wasn't too happy about the bird.
Oh, my gosh.
But yeah, that's all it is, man. It's just
it's like you see that meme all the time. You're paying for the lifetime of experience, you know, whether it's, you know, you're paying $180 an hour, but, you know, it's a 15-minute job. That's the time you got to, the experience. You've learned all the lessons. You've set the standard, and that's what you pay for. It's understandable.
Yeah, and for me, it's like I'm not the best painter in the world. Like if you ask me to go paint your car silver, I'm fucking that up. Straight up.
Yeah.
I'm not. But silver's a bitch to paint because of the metallics. If you don't do a good job, it'll streak. So. But like I said, I haven't painted a car or anything close to a car in well over 15 years, right? So, hell, I did paint. Remember when I painted my car? I streaked the fuck out of it when I wrecked it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna paint this.
For sale.
Yeah, for sale. But so I'm a graphic guy. I'm good at graphics. That's where I shine. I've gotten to a point where my finish quality is some of the best out there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it is the best because there are people that are better than me, obviously. But it's pretty damn good. Now, I'm good at graphics. I put my graphics up with almost anybody out there. I got my own flavor. I got my own style. I know how to kind of pull things together. And so when, you know, years I've been talking about getting out of paint, but I'm getting out of painting, not graphics.
Yeah.
I still want to go to, say, if you got a shop in Austin that paints your bike, I'll come down, do the graphics, lay out all the designs, only be there for a couple days. I'm going to charge you, but I'm efficient. And I can come in there and give you something that you would charge. I would charge you 15 grand, but maybe that guy that just paints is going to charge you 6 or 7 grand to do the paint. I'm going to charge you a couple grand to do my art, and you're going to come out cheaper. And I don't have to deal with all the wet sanding, buffing, and all that shit.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do, because all that other shit is so time consuming that like it's hard for me to do these other things that I have a lot of, you know, passion and wanting to do. When you're stuck wet sanding a bike 4 times a week because you have to keep adding shit to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
So like so you're saying the things that you have the more passion and you would rather be doing. So like what is that top thing? Like if you were like
Oh, photography.
Just
I picked the one
Okay.
thing that there's no money in.
yeah.
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 You know,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to do, but I enjoy it, man. Like
Yeah.
it's hard. Put it like this: if I gave it up because there was no money in it, then I was never really passionate about it. It was never about art. It was
Yeah,
only
that's
about
true.
making money. So
Absolutely.
I love doing it, and I got to find a way. I think that if I keep doing it and putting something into it, then eventually money will find a way to reveal itself within it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
If it never does, I'm a great painter. I have a okay podcast that does well. This is never going to go away as long as there's a podcast audience,
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, I could still make YouTube videos. I mean, I'm not the best on camera, but you know,
Getting there, more practice.
Yeah.
That's what you're working at, right?
yeah, I'm just practicing. So I'm trying to talk my wife into OnlyFans. No,
All right, so here I'm gonna make an announcement real quick. Sturgis, I just got the final number. 547 bikes sold.
at the Sturgis dealership. Damn.
547. That's more than some dealerships will do in a whole year.
What is the
Oh
average
my
out
gosh.
today?
About 50.
50 a day.
It's crazy.
They're probably
That's how you know there's
46.
rich people.
Yeah.
We're all trying to figure out how to afford to go to
Yeah,
Sturgis.
seriously, like, I just sit out because I'm like, man, I can't make this and that other trip, and they're buying bikes up there.
547.
How many CBOs? I heard the CBOs were selling like hotcakes. up
Every
there.
time they got one, it was gone that day.
For real.
So I don't know the exact number, but I'd say they probably
I
at least sold
didn't
10.
see one Street Glide CBO, which I think looks better than the Road Glide.
They're Saturday. When did I leave? Thursday morning, they had one up there. They
had
threw a
one.
tour pack on it, and it was already sold. I got up there a little late on Thursday because it was just packing. So I got up there at 10:30. Had a soul tag on it.
Damn.
Yeah, it was.
40. What are they? Were they still selling at MSRP or did they mark it up?
Did they go up?
I don't know what they were selling them for, but everything there is a little higher. But
Okay.
they also show you a lot more for your trade than you'll ever get anywhere else. So that's the, it's just how it works there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but 547 bikes, dude, that's
So that's what I'm saying. Motherfuckers can come in there and drop $60,000 on a CVO, and they want to bitch about $12,000 paint jobs. Scram.
Yeah.
that's
People also plan to buy bikes there, though.
Yeah, for sure.
People wait all year to go there and buy bikes.
yeah.
So,
But-
Tommy's right. There's a lot of dealerships that'll do under 500 bikes.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. They don't try to sell them though, or they try to sell. They put price tags on them that are just kind of, and their sales tactics are kind of like, bro, I'm not trying to get fucked today, and you're
Yeah.
clearly,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, it's a lot of dealerships, in certain previous rallies recently that were trying to mark shit up that high and then, hit you back a rough. Ours is 10 grand over, but yours is worth $5 less than you probably thought it was.
Yeah.
Well, have a nice day.
yeah.
So you gotta
Move bikes, baby, move.
You got to
bikes.
move units. Everybody's got to be happy, right? It's a two-way street. So
Yeah.
they got it down pack. I mean, that's by far any rally in the country. They're selling the most bikes.
So, I remember talking to Monty a little bit, but did Monty score the Black Hills pinstriping thing, or is somebody else doing that one?
This year they had a couple guys that Brody had put in place,
Okay.
but that could change.
Yeah.
So-
And for those who know, Brody passed away. He's kind of like an OG pinstriper. He would travel to dealerships, take bikes that didn't sell for the most part, and give them some flavor with some pinstriping to help move the units. And it's been an effective tool for
Oh, yeah.
20-something years now. He was doing it.
He was doing NASCAR. He was doing big, toy hauler designs, and then found his little niche in Harley. And man, he was doing probably minimally 12 to 13 dealerships a year, and each dealership would give him 10 to 20 to 30 bikes to do.
Dang.
Like Sturgis, I want to say last year or the year before, I think he pinstriped like 110 bikes for him.
Yeah.
You know?
At like, what, 600, 700?
Some he had a good summer. Yeah, some.
Dude, trust me, Monty right now is killing it.
Yeah.
He had a couple rough days with the rain up there.
Yeah.
But right now he's sitting pretty as far as what he's got going on.
Yeah.
He's by far my favorite out there.
Yeah.
Me and Brody were super close. He was part of my family.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, he used to have dinner with my family while I wasn't home, and check on my family. So that was a big loss for me. And he was a big inspiration in my sober life, so to speak. So
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was hard. But.
I had the pleasure of hanging out with him a couple of times when he came through Dallas at Texas Harley. He would always invite me out. We'd go have lunch and meet each other and whatnot. So yeah, anytime somebody in this world passes, it's always
Yeah, he left behind a good thing, man. I'm lucky enough to he did a bunch of skateboards for me.
Nice.
So I got some shit that will never go away. And actually, I texted his sister yesterday, the day before. He had Poland do a helmet a couple years ago. I know we spoke on that, but it's sitting. I know where it is, and I don't want to wear it, but I want it in a dealership.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So I want something of his in a dealership. So I'm working on that, but one of those. And he actually gave one of the guys permission in Sturgis. He's using basically everything Brody left behind, from lift to brushes to stencils. So he had the Brody stencil. So this year, Brody's name was on bikes, which I thought was cool.
That's cool.
And Brody was cool with it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been cool with it. But I was like, Brody said you could do that. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So but it was good. It was good. He's a good dude.
So as far as racing concerned, you said you went up and did the Washington race?
Yeah, so I actually spent 5 weeks out on the West Coast. So I drove up to Washington, raced up there at the Ridge, which that's the most technical track I've ever been on. It's a shorter track, blind corners that you were just up and down, just left, right. I mean, it is a workout to get around that track. 2 weeks later, after the Ridge, which I had 2 wrecks at the Ridge. I've actually done pretty good of keeping the bike. Got him. I've been doing pretty good keeping the bike on the tires down.
Yeah.
Is that the track you were breakdancing on?
That is the track. That actually wasn't. That was Laguna. Laguna is where I was really showing off my dancing skills. At the Ridge, they had.
You got to tighten it a lot.
I got.
Use your strong hand.
This is my bad thumb. Okay.
So I got cut off in the chicane and just had like a small, like I low-sided, and I was doing like 25, 30, like it was nothing. But then the next day in the race, there's this big left-hander, and I was trying to keep up with Jeremy McWilliams because I got lapped. But Jeremy McWilliams and Tyler O'Hara were going by me, and I thought it was Brandon Quaid, who I'd passed like I think 3 or 4 corners before. And I just hear a bike coming up, and I'm like, oh, then no, he isn't. And I hammer down, and then they just go flying by me without even realizing it. I just kept with them, and I took the corner at their pace. My bike is just not equipped to lean, and I dragged primary and lifted up the rear tire, and I shot off, and I rolled for like 60 yards.
Damn.
That one wasn't on camera, but that one kind of rang my bell a little bit. And then 2 weeks later, I was at Laguna, and like I love Laguna. Like that's a very fast, flowy track, and it's narrow, but it's really hard to pass because it's like fast and narrow. Where like the Ridge, there's like 3 or 4 spots where you're coming in so hard on the brakes, and then you can just go late brake somebody and just go under them. But Laguna is just fast. And it was in the race, and I had gotten past. It was the B main. So a cool thing that they did at Laguna for Super Hooligan is they had the normal like main race, but then there was a B main because there were like 46 guys that showed up and tried to qualify.
Yeah.
And I mean, really the most bikes that they can have on the grid is probably around like 30 or 32 or something like that. So
that's new this season, right? Like the
they had never done that before. I think that was just a Laguna specific thing.
Yeah.
Because Super Hooligan is growing so much, and there's so many bikes out there. So I missed the A group by like 1.4 seconds, and I made some bad decisions in qualifying. There were some guys in my qualifying group that had very fast bikes in the straights, but were kind of slow in corners. And I'm on this big fat air-cooled Harley, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get him here. I'm going to get him here. And I learned that the smarter thing is just pull off into hot pit and wait for things to open up and just run your qualifying time. So I missed it. I was in the B main, and I got the whole shot, and I was in first for the first 3 laps of the B main. And That's the first time I've ever led a race, and that's a very different experience when you're out there. That you're just like, oh man, like yeah, it's the third lap and nobody's passed me. So I was coming down the straightaway, and I was doing things that I shouldn't be doing as a newer racer. I looked over my shoulder, and I wanted to just see where everybody was at, and then I went wide in the corner, and then I got passed, and then I was on my buddy Michael Smith. I was like right on his tire, and then going into turn 11, I went sideways, and he got a little gap on me, and so when I'm catching up to him, I went through the corkscrew, and then I knew that I was faster than him through Rainy Corner, and he's going to argue with me on this, but like I was taking a very different line than he was, and I just didn't even think about touching brakes, and I was just full send, and it was kind of same deal where I was coming through that corner, and I was just leaned so far that I scraped primary again, and that is the crash where I spun on my head, and yeah.
Have you seen that clip? Mm-mm. Oh God, it's so great. You know, like when people it really is. It's so hilarious. You know when people take like somebody falling and then they like put them falling through space.
Oh shit, for real?
Yeah, it was like that. Like he was like turning on his head, like on.
Yeah, I'm like upside down spinning.
If we could pull that up later, or maybe just put that in the YouTube video later. Oh God, it was so
great.
It was so great. Thank God he was okay, obviously, and like Charlie's definitely privateer, but as professional as a privateer gets, and he knew exactly what to do, like when he crashed. But oh man, it was so good. It was so good seeing him like, oh my God, just like spin on top of his head, and then he pulled his arms in, like pulled his body tight in, and just kind of slid on his suit, and obviously like came out pretty good.
When you slide across, like say the strips that are on the corners, you know what I mean?
You know, I've never actually hit any of the curbing like that because there's some curbing on some tracks, and I think it's for the car racing. It'll like it's like staggered bumps.
Mm-hmm. I would rip his fucking elbow off on, wouldn't it? He was leaning into that.
Yeah.
Ripped his suit.
Fucking elbow. Whoa, that was nasty.
Yeah, like you don't want to slide over that stuff. Like most curbing is just a little bump, and there's really good traction on most tracks on the curbing. Like you'll see like most of the correct race lines, if you're going fast enough that it pushes you wide and you're going to run over at the curbing. Like Coda, there's some spots where you're going to hit some curbing, like going through the S's. Like you go under that bridge, and then it's not rare to go and hit some curbing going through Coda.
Yeah. So you rode from Maryland out there to Sturgis this year?
No, it went in a trailer.
So you just put all the shit on there to make it look like it?
Yeah.
Throwing dead birds on the front. Like.
Yeah, so I went to PetSmart and bought crickets, and I just splattered them against there, and then Tommy brought it back. So it went in my buddy's trailer out there. I had some things I had to take care of at home, and I flew out to Denver and met Mr. Tommy Donnelly out in Denver, and we drove up to Sturgis and passed 6 cars in Wyoming. One being a cop, and I was like, "Damn, Tommy, go faster!" And then he got a speeding ticket. So
they were looking for you out there, though. Like they bring in
second speeding ticket in 30 years.
Yeah, and so we said if he got a speeding ticket on this trip up here, he's not allowed to take me on road trips anymore. So hopefully he doesn't get another speeding ticket because I still need rides all around the country. But yeah, and I jumped on the bike Wednesday after the show. You were already gone. Me and Tommy were at the show, at Jeff's show in Deadwood, and I started hauling ass here. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty eventful. I've never ridden out of Sturgis. I've never ridden to Sturgis either. I'll admit it. I'm a man. I can handle that. I can handle that heat. You can put it in the comments section. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I've never ridden to and from Sturgis. Now I've ridden from Sturgis, I guess. But it'll still be more miles than if I rode to and from my house. So
okay, yeah.
Whatever. People can complain. I don't care.
It's going to be like 4,000 miles.
It'll be about a 4,000 mile trip with like miles included at Sturgis and stuff like that. So it's a big trip. And then I left there and I got to Denver the first night. I broke down in Cheyenne. I ran out of gas, like an asshole. Just ran out of gas, just pushing it. And then I woke up in Denver, stopped at a 7-Eleven, found a crack pipe. I think most of you guys saw that. Found a crack pipe in a gas station, broke that, left. and then I hauled ass.
Did your your patriotic service for
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the junkies out there?
Yep, yeah. I helped one junkie stay clean for probably about 30 minutes. Broke that crack
Finds an
pipe.
apple.
It was definitely the service attendant too, because he was like waiting for me at the door. He looked upset when I came out because I looked angry.
One customer in the last 4 hours.
Yeah, and he knew it when I walked out because I had anger on my face, and he like immediately ran in there, but that's fine. He's not smoking crack for the next 7 minutes or whatever, until like you said, he finds an apple. And then I started like making my way down, and that was like the big leg of it. It was like 900 miles from Denver, and I went to Clean, stayed with my buddy Kevin, and there was a huge like heat lightning storm. It's huge because Texas has been like 100 and 100 and fucking ridiculous degrees this whole time, and so it was heat lightning, and they put all those windmills up in like West Texas.
Oh yeah,
that
they're
I
everywhere.
haven't seen. So it was dark, heat lightning, and all these blinking little red dots. It was like I was on fucking Mars, just like flying through the desert by myself. Yeah, exactly. So I hit the crack pipe, broke the crack pipe, rode on Mars, and pulled into Clean at like 1 o'clock. And then I came down here. I've been hanging out with the Lindahl crew down in San Marcos, having a good time with them, been hanging out with Donnie, Tommy, who the fuck's Donnie? Tommy. The beautiful people at Cowboy are taking care of some nonsense that's going on with my bike, broken taillight.
You touch it. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Broken taillight, a dead bird that's stuck in there from Amarillo, right? Amarillo. Yeah. I was on FaceTime with my buddy Chubbs at the same time, and we were talking, and then I saw some feathers come over, and I was like, I think I hit a bird!
Like pulled a Randy Johnson out there.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I just kept cruising. I didn't even check until hours and hours later. I just walked by the front of it, and I was like, oh shit, there is a bird. And
some of a bird.
Yeah, there's a good bit of it, and there's like... Yeah, there's a good chunk of him still in there. The whole head is, and now I guess that's the funny part is that like he must have got sucked in there because he came in ass first, like his head is sticking out. Yeah, his head. We can add that clip to the YouTube video too later, right? Like we got pictures and little videos of it. Like the head is sticking out.
Yeah,
put that in the comment section below. There's like a little, like his head is like stuck in there sideways. A little beak open. It's
I just can't imagine with it being like 107 degrees.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Just the state of that bird at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, because that was how many miles? So
Amarillo to Killeen is probably still like...
You still got like 6, 7, 8 hours of riding?
Yeah, it was probably still
8
about
hours?
500 miles. Yeah. So for all you like cooking people, like that's like an air fryer at 400 degrees for 35 minutes. Like imagine throwing a live bird in there. That's what it looked like. It was ridiculous. It just kept getting worse. Every time I got off the bike for gas, I checked on it. I was like, oh, it's still there. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so I've been kicking around, enjoying San Marcos. I went down to Rennie's event.
Yeah. How was that?
It was good. I
like
went
right on the river?
I went in the river for the first time, which was awesome. I saw those yahoos down there. I saw you.
Yeah.
You weren't in very good shape. We'll save all.
No, I'll tell people
drama.
exactly.
The butthole drama.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a bad butthole experience for Jace.
As soon as I got home, I've
more
had
than one river flowing.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's diarrhea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what is the technical term of diarrhea? Is there a certain consistency?
Yeah, there should be some chunkage.
Are you sure?
Man, so mine's more like clear.
Yeah.
Pissing out your asshole.
Yeah, it's like clear water.
Like actual urine?
No, not
Okay,
not
that's
yellow.
That's
It's
not,
You
just-
said pissing
that's
on
not
his
how the
asshole.
body
Okay.
works. No.
it's called butt pee.
Butt pee.
Butt pee. That's
The old butt
the
pee.
it's the medical term for that. It's called
But-
butt pee.
Like my stomach doesn't hurt. There's no like pain.
Did you have any of the rumblies? You know what I'm talking about? None of that?
No, it's just like I gotta poop and it's just water, and then 10 minutes later, more water, and then think everything's done and over with, and then like 3 a.m. water.
See, Jace, if you would have just taken pictures of my bike in Sturgis, like I fucking asked you to, this wouldn't have happened at all. all that time peeing my
I think
bike.
there's like a
Still
medical correlation to that.
the butt pee. I mean,
I haven't, being on the road back and forth for this whole summer, I haven't necessarily had the best diet in
Excuses.
the world.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's one thing I have a hard time walking out of a gas station getting: powdered sugar donuts.
that's your vice.
That's my shit, dude. That and the Pink Monster, and I'm just like,
You gotta stop doing the monsters. The monsters
yeah, I'm
are
trying.
gross.
I'm trying to stop that.
One healthy food truck in Sturgis on accident.
Sweeto,
Like,
Yeah, that place is awesome.
Sweeto burrito.
Yeah, Sweeto Burrito, right?
That's healthy.
Yeah, that's healthy.
That's not the one I was talking about, but
it was on TV. It's so good.
they had acai bowls. They had like a ramen. They had
Oh, that sounds so good.
actually good. It
Was it the one in front of One Eye Jack's?
was the one in front of Jane P. Cycle.
Oh, I didn't try that one.
Let me go on record and say Sweeto is not healthy.
It's not healthy, but it's delicious.
But it's a staple. If you go to Sturgis,
You have
you should be eating Sweeto.
What's
Don't you shake your head at me.
Chipotle's
You're eating
better,
gas station burritos with your butthole leaking.
Better.
And
Better.
powdered sugar donuts. and
Sweeto
you're still
burrito-
peeing out your butt.
Well, but Sweeto Burrito is like it was on the Food Channel or some shit once, like 20 years ago.
Listen, that's not why I eat Sweeto burrito. I go there and I get a buff chick.
Is it a real
with
burrito
extra
place?
sauce.
That's when you have to
Yeah,
do- you have to do
go
buff
there
chick.
and you get a buff chick with extra sauce. It's gigantic. It's too big.
I had 3 halves.
Yeah, see?
3 halves instead of one. Like,
Yeah, you should really split it with someone so you don't feel disgusting. I myself eat the whole thing because I'm disgusting.
I don't feel like I feel like Sturgis itself really drops the ball when it comes to great eating experiences. Maybe they have a good little kiosk here and there, but overall, there's like not the best food there.
So what rally has the best food?
Well, I mean, anything that's in a city that actually works for the rest of the year.
Well, okay, so Sturgis themselves, like Main Street and stuff like that, does not have good food. If you go to Rapid,
Yeah,
Rapid has
Rapid's
good
better,
food.
yeah.
Well,
Rapid
even
has
like
good
Deadwood,
food.
like there's some of those little.
Deadwood has some pretty good
There's
restaurants
some
too.
little restaurants out there.
Everything's fried or on a stick.
So if you go to Rapid, there's a Mexican food place, Que Pasa. That's a good joint. And then right
It's a
on
steak
that,
place right there.
there's
the hotel that has like all the wild game food in it. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
And then
good.
But
there's,
that's like you can never get there because it's the only place that's good there.
Well, yeah.
Well, it just sucks that
I mean,
like,
that's fair.
and you guys touched about it earlier, like the Sturgis motorcycle rally is just so spread out. Like
Yeah.
everything is so far. So like, if you're gonna go do anything like on the Rapid side, like you have to plan your day.
That's a day, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a 100-mile day just going and coming
Yeah.
to wherever I was going.
Yeah.
Because I stayed in Black Hawk, which is like 2 exits. It's like exit 30 or 53.
Yeah.
So I was dealership, and then anything I had to do was in Sturgis or Deadwood, so it was an hour.
Yeah, it sucked. And then the weather this year was like super off. I mean, like you said, like it always rains.
You always get rain, but it's like comes in, blows out in like
rains
15,
really hard.
30 minutes.
Yeah. And then it stops.
Yeah.
And you're okay. But like
It was pretty relaxed.
Doppler broken? Like what the hell? Like yeah, it was bullshit. It was bullshit.
Yeah.
I got a good story on Tuesday. I stopped. I went to Full Throttle to see a buddy that used to kind of travel so.
I don't know if anybody can hear
I
that.
was just thinking that. Do you want to come over here and do you want to tell your story?
Story time, Tommy Donnelly.
Really, some of the stories I didn't get fucking wet, but
Another story about you getting wet.
yeah,
Everyone brace themselves.
typically private. But
Let's get wet, but naked.
Another story about somebody getting wet at Sturgis, 2023.
not butt piss.
Not butt piss.
That happened.
No, either way, I found a void. I stopped at Holt's. I was at Full Throttle, and I stopped over at Holt. Ended up grilling out, having dinner with him. And one of the guys with him was like, "Hey, mine's working, his radar." And he had like this fast forward pause. So he was like, "Pause. If you leave at 6:43, you have a void to Rapid City." And I'm like, "Fuck." I did it. He was right. Weird how it worked out, but it was. That's how my day was, though. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna sit here," and you were doing it too. I seen your post. You were just waiting it out.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta do.
pretty much. I got lucky because I like a good sunset, right? To enjoy a good sunset, it kind of takes, no matter how shitty the day was, it kind of like makes you forget about it, right? So
maybe a little
Monday after the hardcore show, it was pretty much raining the entire time, and then right when everything was wrapping up, the sun kind of came out, and I had bopped over to like a little bit past Buffalo Chip, and there's a campground where you can turn in. It's called like Bear Butte Campground. It's like literally right by the mountain, but badass views of the mountain. So I was able to get some good shots, sun going down, great lighting. Bike was obviously dirty, but it's part of the experience, right? And then I had a great ride back through Sturgis because the sun was going down. When the sun would set, it was setting like, if you're going through Sturgis, it's setting with the road, right? So going through Deadwood, it's all cutting through the mountains. I did get pulled over on the way back.
Oh,
yeah, because no, fortunately, I didn't drink the entire day, so I didn't drink. I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel like drinking.
Well, we didn't want you to get a DWI. We just wanted you to get a speeding ticket.
So I didn't speed though. I just we were coming into that part where it bottlenecks into the canyons to go to Deadwood, where it goes from 2 lanes to 1, and there was a white Charger in front of me. I kind of knew it was a cop, but I was like, I don't have anything really to lose, and we weren't speeding, so I went around him right before it cut, and he pulled me over. He never said I was speeding. I just think that he wasn't expecting me to go and get in front of him before we hit the canyon. So he pulls me over, and he's grilling me. You drinking? I'm like, no. He goes, you ain't had nothing to drink today. I was like, no, man. So if I test your breath, I'm like, did I drink today? And you're like, I'm like, I don't know. Did I drink? Now I'm like nervous. I'm like, fuck, man. If I did blow, I drank 2 days ago. Is it gone? But he ended up being chill. Yeah, it's like he ended up being chill. And of course, what they do out there is they leave another cop by you, especially if you're in a vehicle. That way they can watch you, whatever you're doing in there, to see if you're, be like, he's drinking, whatever.
Shit.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I wasn't, so they just kind of let me go. They didn't give me a ticket because I technically didn't do anything wrong, Yeah. So that was that. And then, like I said, great little sunset ride back to the house. Had some dinner, went to bed, woke up at 3 a.m., hit the road.
Gangster.
Fortunately, I was in a trailer on the way home, so I
What a bomb.
You got my spot.
Yeah.
My bike's still out there.
Just sell it out there.
It'll make its way back here eventually.
Anyway, two people who said they might be able to get it texted me today. Said, we're full. Okay, we'll figure it out. I need it by September 6th, if anybody's listening. So.
What a life to live. My bike's still in Sturgis. We'll figure this out eventually.
Well, you always fly back up and ride at home. When
I actually had one of my hog members off of that yesterday. He said, you want me to go fly in and get it? I was like, well, give me a couple days. I'll let you know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was a good year. So,
It was.
What else, man? What else we got before we...
Well, hell, man. We touched on that, touched on September. We got to dig into that December thing we were talking about, but I got some good news on that.
I got some ideas for it that we'll talk off air. Yeah. It might not align with what I'm kind of wanting to do now to be with that, but I still want to make this other thing happen. You know what I mean?
I think in March, maybe, man. I think in MotoGP weekend might be a good way to.
Yeah, I think this thing's got to be separate. It's got to be separate. Yeah. It's
what else do you have for the year?
Me?
Mr. Hudson, yes.
Other than the things I talked about, I'm going to do down south again. I'm gonna support Craig till he finally actually does quit doing that dumbass camp out.
You heard it here first, folks.
Nah, so we were me and the guys are supposed to finish our 48 states this year.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm kind of the one that kind of fucked that up for us because when we got back from this last trip, we still have Florida, West Virginia, and South Carolina, the last 3 states as a group that we have to finish.
Yeah.
So I told him, I was like, man, I want to do this, but I can't afford to do this with getting the things I need to get done for the FXR tour, and especially like the money I would have to spend to go on that trip. I need that to finish this bike.
Yeah.
Especially after some things took place.
Yeah.
So they were all cool with it. Like, yeah, we can just kind of postpone that. And since they didn't have to use their vacation time, I think we're all going to pull up and knock Florida out with the down south with the guys.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Because it's kind of like one of those states is kind of, I mean, we can 20 over and hit South Carolina and not have to go all the way to Florida, right?
The Virginia one's hard, though, because you're going to have to go pretty far up.
Well, I mean, the good thing about Virginia is like you just pretty much stay in the Smokies and then cut over a little bit when you get up towards Bristol, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not bad riding through that.
Are you just going to touch Virginia and turn around?
So I think if it all works out well, we might have another plan where we'll go do like some New York stuff again because we all had fun in New York.
Yeah, of course.
And knock these states out. And then, but yeah, so they were all chill. And, you know, like it is about doing all this together. Yeah. So, you know, like I said, I fucked it up, but I kind of put too much on my plate this summer. And I'm actually excited to be back at work right now. Like, I'm ready to get
Sometimes
to painting.
it's nice just to be back at home.
Yeah, be grounded for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot flying. Just
Bouncing,
always
yeah.
moving.
It's like it takes time to get back into the groove of being home. And the groove of, like, when you're about to leave, it's hard to just work till the time it's time to go. Like, there's a...
There's a build-up process, right? Like, you can't just, like, flip a switch and leave. Like, it's not that simple.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
what it was like for me going back and forth from Milwaukee. I'd finally get home for a week and get in the groove, and then it was time to go back to work.
Yeah.
And I get in the groove at work, and it was time to go back home. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck.
So like I said, the plan is to kind of shut the shop down at the end of February. So I'm going to take in some jobs, some bikes, to kind of like go out with a bang, if you will, for Daytona stuff. And then probably March, if I don't go to Daytona, I'll do what I did last year and go do
Oh, you're coming to Daytona.
a trip, just recording podcasts, take the video stuff on the road again.
Everybody here is coming to Daytona.
That was
Everybody.
You gotta find a home for
Gotta-
the hangover show still, huh?
Terraform, all that
Well-
shit.
Good where you're at.
Well, we have some things in the works to be announced. Is
Is it going to be in Daytona, or are we going to have to, like,
You're gonna have to
travel?
ride. Oh, you're gonna have to ride. Oh, I know. Oh, look how upset Jace looks. He's gonna come to Daytona and ride.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to ride the hood ride, hosted, Mercenary Motorcycle Co. Yeah, you're gonna have to come ride with all those lunatics down the highway.
I'm too old for that shit.
Ride them back. Ride them back. Ride them back. Leave 10 minutes
I'll
later.
show up. Yeah.
Leave 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Just meet in the beginning. Come say hello, and then leave 10 minutes later.
Every year, Daytona. So this is how I judge Daytona.
Oh, I
If
hate
the
you so much.
FOMO, everybody has FOMO that's not going to Daytona when everybody's going to Daytona.
Yeah.
The FOMO of, like, excitement. But it's if it carries on throughout the rally is where, you actually miss something or not.
Like day 3.
Yeah.
You're like,
And
Because most people, I think most people, once the hardcore cycle show is done and the hangover for the last 2 years,
yeah.
there's really nothing else. Like, I can't froggies every fucking night. I'm not built to drink that way and
Well,
party
no
that
one
way.
tells you to come. I mean, you didn't go to Sturgis the whole time
that's
either.
his point. That's the only thing to do.
Yeah. So come for the. I mean, well, the same reason that none of us stayed in Sturgis the whole time either.
Yeah.
No one's telling you to go to Daytona for 10 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like,
Sounds like a mute point to me. Sounds
It's
like you need to come to
it's
Daytona for 4
early,
days
I believe in March this year too. It's like March 1st.
or
Yeah.
2nd or something like that. Yeah, it's just how the calendar
typically
fell.
runs through St. Patrick's Day,
yeah.
so it's about a week early.
Oh, none of us are Irish, so
It feels like
that's
they,
not true. You're right.
it does feel like they have been moving it up closer and stuff. I don't know. I mean, like I said, the people aspect, you want to go down there and hang out with the people. Sometimes there's builds that are coming out that you.
Well, I mean, look, like as much as like we hate to admit it, it is kind of the official like season opener, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it is. Like obviously, it's much more so for the guys on the East Coast. All of us are buried in snow and stuff, but the way like the quarters are mapped out and the way like the industry is aligned, it technically is still the season opener as like a big thing for the
Yeah,
industry.
yeah.
So just like all the rallies go, just like Laconia goes and Sturgis goes and Daytona goes, it's all the same. There's going to be a portion of it that is more busy for a certain demographic of the industry than the rest, right? And so and where people that sit at this table and watch this podcast are going to assimilate is probably going to be like the first weekend where the hardcore performance show goes on, where the performance hangover show goes on. Everyone's there, so everyone will meet up in little different places. There's always stuff going on at the Daytona Harley location. There'll be some other little pop-up stuff. And then if you stay for a couple extra days, you can get some of the historical stuff, like Willie's Chopper Time show, which is just something that's been going on at Daytona since kind of like its inception. So it's kind of cool to see some of that stuff. And then you bounce out.
Yeah.
And spend the whole time there. It's hard for people that that attend a lot of things all year to spend a large time at any of these events. I don't think any of us really spend full time at any of these shows.
Yeah.
It's Sturgis is a 2-wave event.
Yeah.
So is
Yeah.
Daytona.
Exactly. So
Well, I think for me it sucks because I do usually commit to down south, and so the last travel and the first travel I don't want to be to Florida.
Yeah, and you were saying-
why?
were
Don't
saying
you
wanna-
love Florida?
Do you want to do the keys on your FXR build?
So,
too, right?
well, like I said, the thing is with this turning into the homies coming, we've been looking at different ways that we might be able to make this, maybe it's go do that and then on the way home, go to New Orleans and spend 2 nights there, something, right, to make it a little
Yeah.
bit, because the camp out itself is kind of meh
yeah,
to be best.
Man, Craig is gonna love this podcast. I'm
He
gonna
knows.
text him after
He's
this.
gonna be on here in a
This
month.
is pretty tame.
No, this camp out is gonna be a good one. A lot of people coming to this one.
Sure.
From my side.
Sure.
Rough crowd around here.
Sure.
Sure. There's gonna be a lot of that. Just
But
in your
What do
time.
we got for the rest of the year? We got obviously the September thing.
Born Free.
Then we got Born Free.
Born Free
which
Run
is
to Terralingua if
Run
you're
to
gonna
Terralingua.
do that.
Yeah, if you're not gonna be lame, go to Terra
Born Free dates. It's the same dates.
23
4
through
days
the
this year.
22nd through the
25th.
no, it's the 19th through the
19th.
22nd.
It's the same exact dates as bike.
So the 16th is when we're going to be meeting at Durango on Monday. 17th will be in Amarillo. 18th will be the pre-party here at Strokers.
19th through the 22nd.
Yeah, and so a lot of we're going to have Mike back on the podcast sometime here in the next month. Everybody's bitching about the price, right? But Born Free California, if you want to ride into the show, it's like $40-something a day. So you're $80 for 2 days if you want to go both days. This event itself is not like Born Free California. This is a rally. This is a 4-day event where you don't have to leave this motherfucker. So for $120, you're getting in. You can sleep on the ground anywhere in this place. So what you're paying for is that, right?
Yeah.
And they have to make money in order to make the grounds better, to make the event better, to make it become what it's going to be. So where else are you going to go? You'll spend $120 at a bar tab. So quit fucking bitching, man.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You know?
And they got the ticket thing fixed for last year. I guess you're doing all the TABC shit online.
I don't really know. I'll let them explain that whenever we do the podcast. But the thing is, like we talked about with the Cowboy thing, if you want, unless you want the only Born Free to exist to be in California in the middle of the year where you have to ride across the country in the heat, then fucking come to this, man.
Absolutely.
Like, it was a great time last year. And it was a lot of Billy Lane was there. There was so many big name people there. It was awesome to be in that presence of these people.
It's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, and they figured out some do's and don'ts for this coming up year. It's going to be a much better event. I guarantee you that within the next couple of years, it is going to either trump the California side as far as attendance is concerned because it's a different style of event. I believe so because they're going to be able to do different things here. So it's not going to be do you go to Born Free California or Texas. It's going to be you go to both.
Yeah.
The same way you go to Daytona and Sturgis for the most part.
And I think
they
you're
offer
gonna-
different experiences.
I think you'll get a lot of the California crowd that's not going to travel to this one. I mean, yes, there was some last year, but not probably as much as you'll see this year.
Yeah,
So
the FXR division guys are coming. The Saddlemen, they're coming. Like, our tour aspect, the way things are going, like, I think that if even if you're not on FXR, if you want to be a part of that caravan that's going to be coming across from Durango to Yellow Rose Canyon, bro,
it's going to be cool.
it's going to be an experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I thought Amarillo was going to be the sleeper, but, man, after going through there on the way to Born Free and seeing the bars and seeing how stoked these people are about us coming through, it's going to be a wild one, man.
And you talk to everybody at the dealership?
So I got a phone call tomorrow with the guys at Trips so we can finalize some details. I'm going to have to do, because we are hosting the pre-party, like the Fast Life is hosting the pre-party here in Dallas. So I got to do a lot of shit and kind of put some people at power to set that up while we're gone. You know what I mean? So last year's pre-party, we had like 500-600 bikes in that parking lot. I think you came to it, right?
Yep.
That was huge.
It was huge.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So this year we're going to try to set up an area, and hopefully Rick gets the lights fixed out there so we can – that was the only thing that sucked. But same thing, I'm going to try to find some brands to come in and offer some giveaways because that was a big draw. We had a lot of good vibes going on at that year. And it's hoodie weather here, for the most part.
Yeah, October's nice here.
So I'm excited, man. I think it's going to be I'm glad that, like I said, last year when Mike kind of activated us to help them, it meant a lot to me. You talked about earlier, sometimes you just need people to give you the opportunity to shine. And, we put our ass into that pre-party along with Hang 'em High and the guys at DFW Donna Crew. And this year he kind of gave us the opportunity to bring the FXR tour in with Born Free. And they're leaning into us, and we're excited, man. I think it's going to be a good event. And it's good that these guys from the West Coast are coming to Texas and not saying we're going to bring California to y'all. They're like, no, we're just going to bring the structure that we created. We want y'all to make this a special event yourselves.
Oh.
And that's what they've done with Oliver, with Danger Dan, all the people involved with it on this side of the country. So
Badass. we'll do the same thing we did last year. We'll be out for the pre-party, and I'm gonna ride this year. My bike wasn't here last year. I just got back, so it was like the first trip I made. We brought Braden. Was one of his first big motorcycle shows. And he loves that shit. So
there's some wild parties that took place. I mean, I had COVID the whole time, so I was in a tent. But for the most part, it was that sucks, man. As soon as you turn fucking 40, everything starts breaking. Never sick in my life more than a day, you know.
Tell you what.
Now I've been shitting for 4 days straight, dude. Pissing.
Gym, bro. I'm back in the gym finally. I feel great.
Yeah, I need to.
Are there any rides, like specific rides set up for the Born Free Texas? Like, hey, we're going to, I don't even know. I haven't even looked at maps. There's got to be some decent
There's
routes.
good riding out there. It's different, obviously.
It'll be different.
But no, there wasn't any specific rides set up, because I remember Kerry Hart was posting a lot like, hey, I'm here. Where's there a place to ride? What's a good ride? I'm leaving at this time. Come show me.
Like I said, East Texas is not necessarily known for its most abundance of riding.
It's not like Born Free California, where you can roll off into the canyons. But there's got to be some decent. I mean, you're out in the country.
I mean, it's a different vibe.
Tree tunnels.
Yeah,
there's got to be
it's rolling hills out there, so it's nice, but it's also I've ridden through parts of Kansas that I think are amazing, and some people would say you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just it's different strokes for different folks. I mean, when you've been riding a lot, you find the beauty in every different type of place you ride. And when you've only got 2 vacations or 2 weeks of vacation, the only thing you ride is $1 Million Highway, and that's the worst fucking highway in all that area if you actually ride those areas. So, we're gonna go to Yellowstone. I'm like, good. You can sit there and go 30 miles an hour all through this park and watch everybody point at bears.
It's like riding the Badlands. It's like, that's awesome, but not riding.
Someone, I can't remember who said this, so I'm sorry, but I don't know if it was Torqued Up Trey or somebody, because Millhouse got us all looking for top hats everywhere we go now.
Oh yeah.
So that it makes sense that why everybody in Sturgis goes 10 miles an hour, because they don't want all their fancy hats to fall off.
It's true. They need a chin strap. Yep. They don't put chin straps on those hats.
And you want to talk about some of the worst riders I've ever seen in my life? Sturgis people.
It's
without
so
a doubt.
Yeah.
I was pulling up from coming out of the canyon from Durango to the main light to get on 90. And this guy, I kind of pulled up and scooted up around him. This dude turned around and looked at my bike so long that I felt like I had enough time to tell him, look, and it was going into a red light. The cars were coming.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? That's why people die. And then as soon as I get on the highway, halfway to on the way to Black Hills, there's somebody just sprawled out in the middle of the road, traffic all the way down. Like, people just, they don't ride anytime, and they get out there as soon as there's a hill, and they fucking freak out.
I was trying to be very patient, especially on 90, but I was just zipping lanes at that point. I was like, you guys
have
are
to out
you're
there.
not even staggered correctly, and you're taking up all 4 lanes.
Yeah.
I was just zipping fucking yellow
get
lines.
pissed, too.
I know.
Oh,
but it's like,
my God.
But as soon as I fucking zipped them, they fucking got in the right lane and got staggered again. It's like, dude, you guys been doing that for 5 fucking minutes. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
And 60 doesn't cut it for me. Sorry.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is what it is. But that's,
It's ridiculous how angry they get when like you zip past me. You're not even going fast
I got
really when you pass them.
buzzed in the rain that Monday, and I was still at 60 cruise control, pouring fucking rain. This Dyna zipped my fucking right lane right next to me, fucking 80. I was like, bro, I hope you make it wherever you're going, man.
Good luck, dude.
Yeah, it's
Keep doing you, man.
We need broken used bikes, man. Keep
We need them cheap
circle
bikes
of
on
life.
Facebook Marketplace.
Got to keep these hospitals in business. Insurance companies need to pay out.
Hey, listen, that hospital system over there, Monument Health, top notch, baby, top notch. I'm telling you, they're good.
in Sturgis.
Oh yeah, I was there last year. I was a resident there last year. It was good.
What happened last year?
I got so my leg was broken, but I was still out there last year.
Yeah, you
And I
had
was
an
in a boot.
infection, right?
Yeah, and I got cellulitis, and I had an infection. I was in the hospital there, and I was all up.
They were doing shots out of his cast.
Yeah, yeah. So they were filling up one of my wounds with tequila.
It's a wound shot.
Yeah, and I was just like,
Squeezing that at
yeah, and I was
Tony's
just
thread
like,
into
I would
your
just
leg.
like pour my leg over it and stuff. It was
The
great.
accident was out of Laconia, right?
Yeah, it was. It was out of Laconia when I like tore up my leg. But But yeah, and then my leg got infected. I was having fever dreams and
that,
all
yeah.
this shit and stuff, and like
Wow.
it was awful. And then I was in the hospital there, and then they were like, "We're gonna do surgery," and I was like, "No, the fuck, you're not in Sturgis. Are you out of your mind?"
Sturgis surgery. It's like
Yeah.
they take something out to sell.
Yeah, right. And they're like, "No, you have to stay here." I'm like, "No." Yeah, no.
Did y'all see the signs that basically I've talked about it before on the pod, but there's laws up there where if you get a DWI that you can kind of get a lawyer to it stays there, it doesn't go on your record.
Yeah.
And you
$800 or something.
Yeah.
Actually, Danny was talking about this: drugs, DWI, and then they seal it for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they want you to come back.
Yeah.
So they can get you again. It's basically the whole.
Just want money.
Yeah,
They just want
fuck.
money.
I'll pay out of that shit. I mean,
Shit, they should do that everywhere. Could you imagine?
bro,
Fucking what? Imagine the economy around here.
Oh shit!
Lawyers get enough money, but could you imagine you just pay your way out of
Should
everything?
be like, I got 8 for that. I got 2
Yeah.
to drink. All right, let's rock.
Yeah, we just roll out to Sturgis with like envelopes of $800. Be like, this is for Monday night. This is for Tuesday
just like
night.
y'all, like the whole group puts in to pay for the house. Y'all
Yeah.
put in for like the DWI fund.
Yeah,
The air, the air DWI.
Who's our designated drunk driving us home tonight? Like, there's his $800 fund.
Cops are fucking gnarly, dude. Like the night that we drove back from downtown Sturgis, Trey was driving, one eye in it, dude.
Ooh.
And we didn't see one freaking cop the entire way.
So I did notice. You remember they used to be super strict on Lizelle and Main Street. Like they were
Yeah.
at every fucking stop sign.
Yeah.
They were fucking with your bars. If they were over your shoulders, you were fucking getting a ticket and you had to lower them. I didn't see a lot of that this year, which is good.
Yeah.
But I didn't see a lot of it.
I feel like you saw the cops more trying to get people for the higher item things like speeding, DWIs, things like that. So 90s played with them. The canyon going to and from Sturgis was
Yeah.
riddled with cops everywhere. And that place is easy to get going pretty quick, so it's easy to get a ticket in there.
Yeah.
What's a didn't put your foot down ticket? I mean, that's a
No idea.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Like,
bullshit.
They're gonna hit your $150, $200, but
Yeah.
I mean that's probably easy money. It's easy money for them.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that whole.
Well, I also
$800
feel like
sealed-
attendance was down.
Yeah.
But I think that was due to like the weather report, so maybe they weren't messing with
I
people
feel like
as
when
much.
people are deciding to go to Sturgis, like it's on the docket or it's not. Like I don't think people are like,
I agree,
oh well,
I agree with you on
I
that
think
note as well.
I think you're Minnesota, Nebraska.
maybe your day tripper
like,
up there.
Man, I could
Yeah.
get there in 4 hours. You know, and you did see the surge on Sunday. You could
Yeah.
see more people coming to town, and you know it was actually cool the way that they calculate the traffic for the dealership. Is their wall store. You know, they got a T-shirt store out there, so they know if the rings are high, that there's people still coming in because they're buying on the way in, not on the way out. And I was like, man, that's what, you know, I never thought of it that way. And he was right. The next day, he goes, it was the highest ring in wall yesterday. They sold the most bikes the next day. It was like 63 or something one day.
Wow.
That's wild.
It was a genius way to do it.
Yeah. But the buying in and not buying out is.
I think when people are ready to go, it's like Vegas when you're ready to go. You're not fuck those
Outta
slot
here.
machines in the
Yeah, fuck
airport.
the
I'm getting
T-shirts,
outta here.
everything.
Yeah,
yeah.
the excitement of coming in.
Yeah,
you're
now I'm
excited to
pissed.
buy.
Yeah. Lost everything. Got this
That's why I
crappy
asked
bike.
them too. I was like, because in Daytona, you know, I've worked that rally for almost 10 years. The day after the rally, whether it's Biketoberfest or Bike Week, that Sunday or Monday, motherfucker, they sell a lot because people wait. They don't want to go through this bullshit. They'll do it on the way out and ride their new bike home. I was like, you guys get a lot
Oh,
of
because it's
that?
not a riding rally. That's right.
Yeah, and they
You ain't
that's
wrong.
what the answer was I got was this is how we calculate it. We get more sales knowing wall store sold so much. But as far as like what today's the last day of Sturgis,
Yeah.
it's like well, break it
See,
down.
the Sturgis thing, like it made sense. Like I was talking to somebody about just flying out there and just hanging with everybody because I don't care to ride out there. To be completely honest with you, I've ridden to Daytona before, done that. But like I don't know. I mean, just being stuck in a, I don't.
You need to have a bike while you're out there, man.
I don't know what I would want to do. I don't know.
You need to have a bike when
The
you're out
reason
there.
why it works out so well for me to do what I do during Daytona is because most of the West Coast doesn't go to Daytona. Most of the brands are still at their shops, so I can go out to California. The entire industry goes on hold while Daytona's happening. There's nothing else going on,
They got time.
right? So they're like, yeah, I can sit down and do a podcast. So it's just easier to do that versus if I go to Daytona, it's hard to do podcasts with people in rallies. It's just people are running around. They got obligations. They got, or their buddies are going there, and you're like, fuck, I want to go. I don't want to do this business thing, And so it's just harder. And then, if I do try to do a podcast run out of it, it's just so much more miles. Like I could go do a podcast run where I'm in Maryland, where you're at, and then do a big loop through New York, Boston, all that.
Yep.
And it's kind of similar to what that is because there's more brands close together, so you can kind of almost hit one every day. But down in Florida, you don't have that. And all the brands that are in there are probably involved in Daytona, so you're not going to be able to get, Billy Lane's got shit going on. He's not going to be sitting there doing this or that or, any of that stuff. So it's just business-wise, it's hard for me, But
It makes sense.
plus, nobody fucking gives a shit that I'm there or not.
You'd be surprised.
People love you.
Mark cares.
Yeah,
I care.
can't wait. Let's go do a meet and greet out there.
Yeah.
I don't never do that.
I'm gonna put you in a chair.
I'll never be a meet and greet
I'm
guy.
gonna put you in a chair. I'm gonna have velvet ropes, funneling to you.
No.
Come up and meet Jace.
I don't need to do
then,
anything
a
else
bucket
to
of tomatoes.
confirm people's idea that I'm a very arrogant, cocky bastard. You know what I'm saying?
There's gonna be a line, a $1 line and a $3 line. $1 they can insult you, and $3 they can throw a piece of rotten fruit at you. It'll just be
There we
two
go.
lines. It'd be great.
Remember what you said about Sportsters?
It'll be perfect. Think about it.
Do I look like a hell yeah, brother?
It'll be great. It'd be so much fun. We'll get a dunk tank. It'll be great.
A dunk tank, I do that.
The dunk tank would be
Dunk
fun.
tank would be fun.
I think we're gonna do a dunk tank.
Take your anger out on me.
That'd be fun.
That's an idea.
PHS, round 3. Just wait for it.
Should I get a dunk tank for September?
Who we putting in it?
I was going to say not specifically for you, but I think if I get
Not
one.
the fuck for me. Not for Jace either.
Yeah?
Performance Hangover show is getting
Dunk
it.
tank.
Damn. See what happens? I come on here, I let all my fucking good ideas out the fucking
So up the road,
out
sir.
Pandora's
It's a
box.
dunk tank.
Look at him. He's writing it down now.
I'm not. I'm texting and making it happen right now.
He's like, order me a
Dunk tank, September.
Watch.
Go.
Order me a
That's
dunk
the
tank
exact
now.
sentence. Dunk tank, race week.
Go.
Please and thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
don't
I'm
know,
putting
man.
Jace in mine. You're just gonna put hot chicks in yours. Jace will be way more fun in mine.
No, I think we'll get
Put
volunteers.
a bunch of chopper chicks out there so they can finally get a bath. Austin's full of them.
I guess I'm not in that chopper class now.
Yes, put the chopper
There's gonna be
class
so
in there.
much armpit hair there.
Oh my
Chopper
God.
chicks throw for free to dunk chase.
You put Jace in there. Think about all the people that'll line up. Oh, my
yeah, dude.
goodness.
Everybody hates me.
We'll get some volunteers. That's going to be easy. That's,
Oh god, that'll be great.
yeah, dunk tank. We got Eric's coming out with his food truck.
Hopefully he'll have.
No,
He's been giving me shit the
I
whole
listened to
weekend.
it 2 days ago. So
No,
I
he
agree.
was giving me shit all this weekend.
There should be steak fingers in that fucking food truck. I'm with you.
Okay, steak fingers, yes, but he needs dipping sauces for his chicken strips. That's what I said. His chicken
Yeah.
strips were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lacked sauce.
Okay.
How dare you bring chicken,
burger was fucking
chicken
delicious.
fingers out without sauce
Yeah.
and not ketchup. We're not 9 years old. We need real
Who puts
sauce.
ketchup on chicken tenders?
I'm fucking.
Tommy, get with the times. We need something better. We need
I'll
creamy
use
pepper
other
sauce
shit, but I'm
from
gonna ketchup
Whataburger.
Creamy pepper sauce.
Yeah, creamy
You
pepper
know,
sauce. from
Dairy Queen
Whataburger.
doesn't have steak fingers anymore.
Dairy
That's
Queen.
bullshit.
Again, what are you, a child? Go to
I'm
Whataburger.
just saying, man. I do.
What else we need to add to that? I still got time to add shit.
I'm not giving you any more of my fucking ideas. I'm saving them for Performance Hangover show.
So
Be
there'd
steal-
be no dunk tank at performance hangover.
Oh no, it's going.
it's going.
Jace is going in it. It's gonna be great. Yep.
Yeah, all the vendors. I mean, fuck. I think Cali Ray's Moto is coming
Yeah,
out now.
talk about some of the vendors that you got coming out. That you said
bro.
you made a list.
Let me. Yeah, I got a half-ass list. Let me get through this. So I think we talked Justin into coming now. I'm pretty sure he's coming.
I mean, nobody's gonna
If
care.
he gets to dunk Jays.
Yeah.
No, Jace ain't going in. That's in March.
I'm way too
Well,
important.
Daytona.
Simpson's involved, so that's good. They were actually at the bike night the other night too. Moto America is obviously involved. Liquid Metal, Alex Kirby's coming out. V-Twin Visionary, Easy Rider Cycle, Thundermax, Road to Racing, Peripheral Apparel, Original Moto Garage. I think there'll be more sending prizes for the show. Fast Life Garage, Lindell Brakes, Lucky Strike Design, Ace Graphics, Renegade Babes. Come and Take It Live is the venue that the show will be at, but they'll also be running the bar at the dealership. Get Bent Moto, Dump trucks coming out with Suzuki now. Cali Race Moto's coming out. Buell's coming out. We'll have prizes from Legend, prizes from Hoffman. I actually think Curtis is going to jump on a plane. I talked to him this morning. So it's evolving. So if anybody wants to get involved, there's 0 vendor fee all weekend long, 15 minutes from the track. Hit me up on Instagram, Texas Dyna 1836 or Cowboy HD Austin. I'll just get it set up. I have a link to send you a vendor form. Tell me what size your tent is. Providence was Xavier.
Xavier, yeah.
Xavier's coming out on Friday. I don't think he's going to be there on Thursday. I know I'm forgetting a bunch more, but there's a bunch more. So
Close to the airport.
yeah, the airport.
It's awesome, man. Like it's going to be a good time, especially if you come out for the pre-party. I mean, the after party, the industry stuff.
It's good riding in the area.
Yeah, hill country, literally 25 minutes during you're at the beginning of the hill country. Chromeworks is coming out also. SBC Performance is coming down.
Should we make all the exhaust companies battle it out for supremacy?
Yeah.
Should we have a pipe contest?
Yeah.
Like have like a foot race?
Look, sound, and performance?
No.
No?
Which
American Gladiator stuff. We need the big pit.
Did you watch that documentary?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
fucking cool.
Make them battle it out on like the pedestals and who knocks who off.
Swing.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
have to use the exhaust.
I like that. Oh, they use the exhaust?
Rap.
Exhaust joust.
Yeah.
Exhaust
Exhaust
joust.
joust?
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, I'm in.
Coming in with the fish tails, like
Yeah,
Fuck your shorty.
You better hope somebody has a full length pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh,
Coming in with a
Jesus.
side dumper,
That's
you're
funny.
out, bro. Actually, let me touch on something else, man. I've always been a fan of lowrider Vicla style bikes.
Yeah.
Dude, September 30th at the dealership, we have the Central Texas Vicla show. It's like 600 bikes coming out.
Yeah.
Dude. So it's cool. It's
Are they Latinx riders?
dude, if you haven't
How do you-
watched, you should. Dude, these fucking
No,
guys are
there's a
rowdy,
whole
bro.
scene of them up here, man. They got some nice bikes.
Yeah, and they're rowdy, and they are very social media fucking driven. But they've been doing a lot of shit, so it's going to be good. And we're expecting 600 people at that show, which is probably
Yeah.
a low estimate of it. So
They're nice bikes, man. Like, can't deny that. We got a handful of them up here. I think Lugnuts. He puts
Buckle.
on a little event that has a lot of the guys coming out to this, and I mean they look great on social media when
Yeah.
they're riding.
always
At
one
120 frames.
Yeah, it's always one, but I don't know.
It's a lifestyle commitment to ride something like that. Like,
Yeah.
It's just not something I'm going to ride long distance. You know, it's like
Well, it's
where are we
different
gonna
strokes, different folks. Like I said, we have a lowrider thing that goes on every Sunday here, and I mean when they're cruising those things, they look badass.
Yeah.
And there's like. That's the thing is that like it might not be the bike I want to ride across country, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't be the bike I'd love to just rip through the town
Oh,
and
fuck
cruise
yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Go grab lunch, dinner.
Yeah.
big dicking on one of those things.
Yeah.
You roll around on that, slow
Trust me.
rolling it.
Those bikes get chicks. Our bikes get dudes.
All the dudes. All the dudes.
So,
Mine gets birds too.
but yeah, no, that'd be cool. I saw that y'all had that post for that stuff. So yeah, bringing these different people down and you know, it'd be
A
badass.
little bit of everything. So, well, I'm looking forward to the second riding season, as we like to call it.
God damn.
You know?
Yeah, I'm ready for that. Man, this heat, dude. It'll just take every bit of enthusiasm you have out of you. Like I said, Rennie's Campout it had a lot of people down there. The Lone Star Campout was packed. And I think the river thing was a great addition to give people an opportunity to cool off. I still think different time of year is a better spot. I think that whole river road has a unique thing to it whenever it's not river season. The riding, the campfires along the river, it's like Old Giddy Up was amazing.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like they might end up trying to keep it during river season, which means that it's going to suck to ride to it every year from wherever you're coming to.
Yeah, absolutely.
But man, I don't know.
We went riding out there 3 weeks ago. We left at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
We rode 6:30. I think we went to some barbecue joint and fuck, I don't remember where it was. It was like west of San Marcos, Burnt Bean Company. Fucking slamming. But we rode at 6:30. I was home by noon, and that was good
Nice.
enough. I was fucking done.
So you got to do it, man.
Yeah.
Done.
It's hot out here.
For
It's
a pimp.
hot. It's hot out here for a pimp. Tommy was nice enough to let me borrow his bike. I rolled up to the dealership, dropped mine off. I was like, and I'm taking Tommy's Dyna. And they were like, what? We don't even know where that thing is. And I was like,
You better go find it. I got to get out of here. And they're like, the battery's probably dead. I was like, well, go charge it or something, dude. I got to leave.
Start it.
Like,
they charge it or they swap it.
yeah, no, they charged it. And they're like, it's okay. It's just a little low. We put it on the trickle for you. It's like,
Yeah,
all
I'm
right,
thinking
thanks.
about tearing that thing apart again, too. I got to stop.
Classic.
Next year,
Classic
and I think it's
maneuver.
public information, oh well, if it's not, Harley's releasing police road glides. So what that means for, us is you got about a $10,000 head start on any build, because and I don't know what they're pricing them at, but police bikes are typically around that 20 mark.
Can you buy a police bike from the dealer, or do you have to wait till they get sent back?
You have to wait 90 days from the day it lands. So if I get one and it doesn't sell to a police officer for 90 days and we could put it under demo status, on the 91st day, I could sell it to a civilian.
Okay.
So police bikes, typically I could order for a police guy, whether it's a fleet order or an individual, hey, I'm a retired officer, I'm an active officer that wants to do parade stuff. But after 90 days, they become sellable. So
Yeah, which also means, like, in a couple of years, there'll be a handful of really.
coming off police fleets and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So I think it's good. And a lot of departments are actually switching over to, experimental with these Pan Ams for police bikes too.
For real? That's smart.
But what I learned in Milwaukee is actually with the Pan Am and the height and the lean angle of it, they have to actually change the whole pullover procedure on how they pull up and where they would, turn to see your mirrors to, make sure they're safe. They had to change the whole procedure of pulling people over to be on the Pan Ams.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. I hear there's lots of BMWs here in Texas, or at least in Dallas.
Yeah. It's
I think of
Austin.
BMW or
Kawasaki's a popular
We got Beamers and
police
Austin.
one.
I'm trying to switch it over. I've talked to some people. It's I get it, but man, I don't know where the BMW motorcycle dealership is.
I don't either.
Yeah, I guess they do because I got to service those things. But that was a big part of it. Like, man,
Yeah,
you know
somebody's
where we
servicing
are,
them.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably a little bit more expensive than Harley.
Yeah,
I would assume, but
well, that's cool.
that's going to be my base template for next year.
Yeah, next year's gonna be interesting, man. What they come out with, how they end up deciding to package these new bikes, what that looks like. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but
Still think we got a sport bike coming at some point too. I would think.
all I'm glad is I was worried that it was the new CVOs was gonna like make the value of my Road Glide less, but I think that there's still something there, because that fairing, I'm 50-50 on it, man. There's part of me that loves it. There's part of me that hates it. I don't know.
I don't hate the body lines.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of all that tech. Like, I don't even use the net. It's coming out of my bike, but it's just a lot going on. It's like a fucking TV.
The gas cap is like
It's a
sport
Pan Am.
bikes now.
Yeah, it's like a Pan Am style
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I can't put my Live to Ride on it.
Damn it.
We'll
have to get you a sticker one.
covers or something.
Yeah.
Get some axle covers.
They do. They make the axle
Well,
covers like that.
So, like I said, I was kind of worried about this bike coming out and kind of making the value of the current Road Glides go down. But I think that and I'm not
so
trying
different.
I'm not trying to stunt sales on it. If you like this bike, go pick one up, right? But I think that the time to buy one of these bikes is probably going to be in 2 years, maybe 3, because I feel like there's still going to be some issues, and I kind of feel like they're still going to. I don't think this is going to be a long-term bike. I think it's going to be a couple-year bike that they're going to put out before they end up switching over to something.
Else.
So,
Yeah.
Be interesting to see.
Road Glide's still for sale, but it ain't cheap. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's for sale, not on sale.
There you go.
Harley riders are very like type A personality, right? Like, we don't like change and we're always scared of new things. I find myself like out of the norm for that. I love all the new stuff that the motor company always does. I love the new Pan Am. I love the Milwaukee 8 motor. I love the monoshock frame when it first came out. I was upset when the monoshock frame came out because I just bought Dyna. But besides that, like, I welcomed it with like open arms. And I haven't ridden the new CVO. I didn't ride it when I was in Sturgis. And I'm sure there's like an ungodly amount of tech, because with the new Sportster and with the Pan Am and now with this, all of them have an enormous amount of tech.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, the Sportster has been having its own issues with its tech. The beginning, the Pan Am had its own.
No issues selling.
Yeah.
You know how much a Sportster is right now?
Yeah, very expensive, right?
It's more expensive than a Dyna was in 2014.
Yeah, so very expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it'll just take some time for people to accept it, but a variable valve timing motor in a Harley, oh my God. We're going to gain so much from it.
Oh,
and this
yeah.
is technology that like the other brands were using decades ago. So
Yeah. I'm good with the tech. I love the tech. I'm not everything they did on the bike. I'm stoked about. I just after seeing it, it just seems like a just a makeover on the same frame. So it's like the same bike that the other Road Glide is, just with some new parts on it.
Yeah,
right?
and I think you're right, assuming that it was like, oh shit, what do we do now?
So I think that if that would have been a frame change, it would have been a massive difference, which I think is what they kind of should have did with the new body lines that they were kind of working with. Whatever made it to where that wasn't going to happen, I understand. But now it feels like we got
like half a new bike.
Half of a new bike.
Half a new bike. And you're right, it would have been really nice to get that new frame on the 120th year, and they could have shown it like
It would have been like a transitional point of them
the
kind of moving
homecoming.
forward.
Playing a PS5 on a fucking old TV. That's what it is.
on an old
Really
tube
it is.
TV.
It's the truth.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get that. Yeah, I mean, we can only speculate at this point.
It would have been perfect though, because they could have came out with these two new models that are touring bikes, but still kept the M8 platform around long enough for the transition to kind of not piss off everybody. But hey, if you want to try this new stuff we're working on, here it is. But if you want your traditional air cooled,
got both.
bam, here you go. We got you. I think this is a good transitional bike, and them adding more technology into it for the inevitable. But like I said, I feel like it was this jump, like quick to market situation where they took some of the new parts. I love the tank; it's got a different shape to it.
Yeah,
I love a lot
bags.
about the bike,
Yeah,
but I feel like we got some new body work and a new screen and some Honda VTEC on it, and then now it's just the same frame.
It's the same rear fender.
Same rear fender.
Yeah, they just put those things on the taillights.
Well, would you say that it would be okay for them to keep the frame and the M8 motor on the touring line, and then the STs and the CVOs have a new frame and the VVT motor?
I mean, think about it. Like
How could you
I was
put them in
kind of
the same
convinced.
family, though?
I was kind of convinced that the STs were going to jump up to 131s. It just made sense with obviously the one. I mean, just to stay competitive in the market. You know what I mean? With Indian and whatnot.
What's Indians, a 120?
Something, but it makes.
Who cares?
I don't even know. I probably should, but I have no idea what size they're. Like,
The ST is a great bike, and I plan to make a video with like my official whatever for whatever that's worth, right? But I've enjoyed riding the ST. At first, I hated it, and then I found a way to love it because I rode it the way it wanted to be ridden instead of riding it the way a Road Glide is ridden. And so by finding that out, I found a way to enjoy that bike, and a little bit more technology in that bike would be nice.
Yep.
You know, the gauge thing is a joke, and I see why most people go to the official, the older gauge. There's just not enough information for when you're traveling on a bike to have a light and some other things. You got to toggle through all this stuff to find out what you need to know.
You could just put a regular like S gauge on it.
Yeah, you can. But like I said, the S is powerful. It's small. I'd like to see more accessories designed around that, and that's the same thing I've been asking a lot of the companies that I work with. Like, I know that Ness is working on products for the Softail model. I think it's like everything. A lot of brands are scared to invest money into R&D and bikes that they don't know if they're going to be around that much longer. You know.
Well, I think the monoshock platform's here to stay. Like it
makes sense that it would
makes
be.
so much sense, and it's like super old tech if you look at like the other like OEMs, right?
Yeah.
Like how long have they been racing monoshock frames?
BMW's been doing it since like the early 80s.
Yeah. So like,
So
and it just rides so damn well.
like I said, when we're talking, I mean, I told everybody the reason I wanted the ST is I was just bored with baggers, man. Like, they're great bikes, and I don't even have to worry about changing the oil on those damn things and riding them across country. You know what I mean? They're kind of idiot proof in that aspect, and I kind of wanted something that made me feel the road more, made me question how I do things a little bit differently. That way, it takes that ride down I-10 to California and makes it a little bit more interesting. You know?
Yep. Have you done the suspension on it yet?
No, stock suspension, dude. It fucking rips.
Still stock on mine as well, and like obviously like a big pothole at 100 miles an hour sucks, but like for the
Some
most
dude
part,
some dude probably just dropped 8 grand on suspension, and he's going to tell you that he needed it.
Yeah, for sure.
As he keeps his top hat on while he goes 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that bird will attest to it. Like that bike's going 105 miles an hour, no questions.
I have not needed to. I mean, but also like I'm not riding like Charlie would. I'm not coming in the corners.
Yeah.
So hard on the braking that it's just putting me,
Yeah, that you're
like that.
Yeah.
I'm ripping.
On that Lowrider S, I mean, I rode stock brakes for like half a season. I mean, it was just throwing lindle pads on the stock rotor with the stock caliper.
Yeah.
And I mean, like it handled. Like,
yeah.
It took it. I mean, I couldn't do that now, but I mean, I put that stuff under a lot of abuse, and it held up to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really. They did a lot of really good things on that platform.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
And like I said, what they offer as a special or a ST version next year is going to be very interesting. And I'm not allowed to leak any more things.
Or Harley will come down here and beat you up.
No. I had a very awkward conversation with Brad Richards.
Sure did.
Where
Actually, you know what? I don't think the conversation was awkward.
I think how I ended it.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want him to like me and then find out later that I leaked all the photos. It's like, man, why didn't you tell me? So I was like, hey, man, by the way, I'm the one that leaked the photos. He goes, that was bad. And he walked off, and I'm like,
Well, okay, there goes. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, that's funny.
That's what I was saying. I totally just forgot after that.
Maybe, I don't know.
well, the way I said it actually was, hey, by the way, I'll stop leaking the photos when your guys stop sending them to me.
That's 100 times worse. Why would you say that?
Oh, man. 'Cause I keep it real. I keep it real for the
Right here.
Nah, that was one of those things where you're mid-sentence, like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, no. I felt bad, too, because he was like, yeah, I saw your bike at Born Free. How do you like the ST? I'm telling him, I love it. It's awesome. Everything went well, and had to shit on it.
And then
So,
just,
yeah, I don't know what to say.
All right, I think you made an impression.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, dude, I love the brand, man.
Yeah.
It's
It's obviously what's like gotten us all in this room, right?
Yeah,
And
it's-
to be
it's-
honest, there's no reason to be mad at him. These fucking photos are leaking out of their factories. Like,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
probably got a bigger issue.
that though the last photos went to a group chat that went to me after the group chat, and then 3 people in the group chat sent me the photos. So it didn't come from one source; it came from multiple sources. And then when I put them out, other people sent me other photos that weren't in that group chat. So this stuff,
Dude, Milwaukee.
other friends of mine that are connected to the motor company said that they think that they actually did that on purpose.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
get them to me, just get them out there.
Yeah, just
right?
out there.
Jace will spread this shit.
No.
Like,
Well, and that's what like people have always speculated. Obviously, like everyone talked about it when like the photos were leaked, but like there was always speculation that the motor company wanted to start the initial early hype of it.
Yeah.
And they wanted it leaked on purpose so people would start talking about it and stuff like that.
Could you imagine how many people would have been pissed if they didn't know there was going to be some new bike coming out for the 120th, so they decided not to go to it? You know how many people probably went to the 120th this year just to maybe see this new bike?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that
But you've been the leaker for years. Like you have been like
look, man, I do what I can. I just do what I can.
you have been the crack in the dam for years. Oh God, we could have a whole podcast about this. We could just go through like the historic years of Jace just letting secrets out. Don't give this man any open cans of beans.
Dude,
or
I
anything.
got a lot of secrets, but I work with those brands. I know a lot of
true.
stuff that's coming out from brands that are coming out, but I have a relationship with them. Harley, they do this thing where they know about you, but they never fuck with you. They never even tell you, hey, we're watching you. You're doing a good job. They never say anything. And then as a brand that is media, if I get my hands on this shit, I have a due diligence service to my fellow Harley riders.
It's very journalistic
to
of you.
let them know
Yeah.
what's going on.
And to
I
be
mean,
honest, if they were worried about it, they'd fucking fix it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
this is true.
they'd
Yeah.
fix it.
And again, this is why people speculate like, well, if they
Milwaukee-
really weren't happy with it,
yeah. Milwaukee
they would
leaks
stop
like a
it from
shovel.
happening.
It leaks like a shovel head, dude.
Yeah.
It's I spent 5 years there,
That's
and
true.
I would just say hello, and I'd get some shit, and I'd go, what? Like, Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's good to know.
I mean, and you also got to think about how the turnover rate is too when they fire these people that have this access, that like this campaign with the shit, get rid of this whole group of people. That group of people still has pictures, and they're like, hey man, I can't do anything with this, but fuck them here.
yeah.
And that's how some of it came about. You know what I'm
They
saying?
fired like 500 people, like right in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. And one of those guys
then
in
the
that,
ST picture started leaking.
that's where some knowledge of that came from.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's not necessarily how you keep bridges from burning.
Yeah.
It's firing people in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we got the ST though.
But we got
All
it
is
now, so-
forgiven.
You know what I seen out there? Someone pulled up on a. Hey, man, I don't want to say it was like a street pop. I was at Monty's booth, and it pulled up, but it had an ST repop fairing with a screen in it.
Yeah. TOL makes that.
Is it told?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, damn, that from a distance looked good.
Yeah, he makes it to where you can put it on a bagger, so you can take all your bagger stuff and put it in that, all your gauges and speakers from
right
a
in.
bagger right into it.
Man, people like the ST fairing that much?
Yeah, dude. It's called swag.
Weird, because I
what
think
the S stands for?
I think it's actually fucking ugly. So I'll go on record to say that I don't like STs.
East Coast dudes hate everything.
I don't like ST fairings. I don't like the clamshell
What
bags.
does ST stand for?
I can't say that on air. I have a lot of different ones for it, but no, not a fan of the ST. I'll say it again.
Yeah. Well,
Not. A
nah.
fan.
It's been a good ride with this. I mean, like I said, hopefully they do work with me at some point in life. You know what I mean? I don't know how long this has to go by before they forgive me, but I'm also not going to ask for forgiveness. I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean?
No,
So
it's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things.
yeah, I helped you fucking sell more bikes, and then I bought one, dude.
Relax, we're even. No, it's all good. You've done a lot of good things for the motor company, at least in my opinion. May not be worth much, but
I'll figure it out one day.
yeah.
I always felt like what was going to end up happening was Indian was going to reach out to me just to make me put my money where my mouth is, and be like, "Hey, Jay, so we know that you don't like our bike. So how would you like us to give you a Challenger?"
Yeah.
You know, because Indians like shared my photography before.
Yeah.
You know, with Kyle's work and whatnot. It's like, fuck, man. Like, they've actually reached out to me and asked permission. Indian motor companies asked permission to use the photos before and stuff. And it's like, God damn it, dude. All I get from Harley is cease and desist. You know what I'm saying? As it's tattooed on my neck.
Thanks, guys.
Crazy.
Oh, that's
Did
funny.
this fucking you, man. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate it, guys. It's going to be fun. September is coming around quick. A little too quick for some of us. But, I'm glad that you're back, man. It's already the change, and the pendulum is swinging back towards Austin having – they've always had a scene. They've always had great people, but now they have a hub with Cowboy Harley and the events that are coming together, and bringing the rest of the industry into Austin is definitely something that I'm looking forward to, because it's a shorter drive than Milwaukee.
Fuck yeah, it is.
And the weather is better at that time of year.
We hope.
Yeah. So,
That's true.
We
It's
hope
very
it is
true.
gorgeous in Milwaukee in September.
oh yeah, I
Who
can't
knows
beat that.
this
Hey,
industry
as long
party?
as we're in the fucking 90s, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have a tattoo artist at this industry party?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Done.
see how crazy it'll
Wheelo
get.
wanted to come down and tattoo, but I was just like, man, have fun at this one. Let's
Yeah.
worry on the next one. We'll get it done.
Yeah, his event tattoos aren't the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're like,
That
oh,
dude,
I got this on a stage at a camp out. Yeah. Or Steve Chamberlain with the fast life on his butt
his
cheek
ass.
while he's leaning over a stump.
No, this
He's
is-
got the worst
I
conditions.
don't
He did
want
this
him-
in the studio live on a podcast.
That's right.
Drunk.
I want him to come down and enjoy it.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
down and enjoy the next one that we're going to do. Yeah, that makes more
is that
sense.
the dude that was tattooing at the Milwaukee industry party?
No.
I don't think so.
No, that
We
was
should get that artist back.
that's Aaron. And
We should go. Yeah.
that
we
dude
should.
was there. So Brendan was there. You remember he got like a 14-inch cock tattooed on his leg.
Oh,
Yeah, we should get.
Yeah.
We should get that type of
Yeah, we raised.
tattoo
I
party
think we
again.
raised like $2,000 in 10 minutes, and then it
Thank
was like-
God. Well, I think that
Actually, two guys got dicks tattooed on that night, but he
drawn
got like,
by Jive Ass Honky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
Picasso.
Both of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Picasso.
Picasso.
But it was a 14-inch cock on his thigh. Like
But
his
the-
whole thigh. is
Yeah,
a cock.
he was a dumbass. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
but for the best part, for like our new listeners to this podcast, is the dick was tattooed upside down, so it was going towards his waist.
Yeah, sure.
So
not
it's
like he had a shorts on and he had a little.
Yeah, exactly. So,
So
like
just the
dick
balls
wasn't-
hang out of the
yeah,
bottom, so-
yeah, the bottom of the shaft was hanging out, so it didn't make any sense at all. So this guy has a 14-inch dick going into his shorts. Not a good time. Not a
Guy
smart
before
move.
him. I think. Yeah.
He got a small dick.
It was a small dick.
Yeah, a small dick.
Yeah.
Didn't anatomically it didn't matter which direction that small dick was going
Because
it was
where he
small.
got it.
Yeah,
I think it had
tattooed.
wings too, if I remember correctly. It was
I
cock
mean-
Kyle can
Picasso.
draw you a dick with anything, any kind of accessories that you like.
So they have a podcast. That's actually, I think you might have been up there.
I was just like, wow,
Yeah, at that show.
that's impressive artwork.
So they do a podcast upstairs in the conference room. It might have been that, right?
At Milwaukee?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
dude, he draws this masterpiece, like the whole 4x8
On the dry erase
board,
board.
on the dry erase board, right? And he did it in what dry erase marker.
Yeah.
But it was imposed in that board.
Oh, yeah.
For 3 months. So every time we'd sit in a staff meeting, all I could see was this giant cock.
Yeah.
fucking-
Even after you erase it, there's like this
it was
ghost
there
image.
for like 3 months.
Oh,
man.
it's beautiful.
It was.
You turn the lights off and you can still see it,
was
just kind of like
pretty fantastic.
glowing in the background.
And then I seen what he did at that little wood shack that you guys passed through in Wisconsin. So,
Oh, yeah, that Plywood Palace.
yeah.
Yeah.
Loaded up.
Everywhere we go, he draws a. If you could put $1 on the wall, there's a dick drawing
On
on the dollar for the Fast
Do you
Life
remember
crew.
Superbad? You remember like the dick
Yeah,
drawing
that's-
portion of Superbad? That's Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle is, and he's good at it, man.
Oh God, I love him so much.
We tried to get him to take it to another level with like an iPad, do some digital art, but
Yeah.
it takes away the in the moment. Like,
Yeah.
It's more organic.
like give me something that makes a mark and watch this, and you're just like, God damn, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know?
And
Well.
he just starts.
Talent's talent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note of dicks, we ready to close out?
Yes, sir.
All
All
right.
right. Charlie, he's downstairs doing something. I want to thank him for coming out, sharing some race knowledge. Since this is a racing event,
Absolutely.
And dicks.
It is.
and there will
Yeah.
Kyle will probably be down there drawing penises.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Cowboy Harley, September 7th. The weekend will be lit, as the young ones say.
As always.
7-8 at the dealership. Party the 8th at Come and Take It. The 9th. Breakfast at the dealership. Ride to the track. We're closed Sunday, but we're all going to races. So
Yeah. So ride your bike, just fly in, hang out. There's going to be some good parties, good events, good chance to meet people, network. And from that point on, it's born free and shit. So